Well, a very warm welcome. Good afternoon to Whilton Mill in Northamptonshire for the start of the 2025 IAME and Honda Cadet O-Plates, the start of the Wera Tools British Kart Championships Season 4. The X30, Waterswift and Honda Cadet categories. Very, very glad to have you with us. My name is Andrew Mather. Alongside me in the commentary box once again as we kick things off for the IAME and the Hondas in 2025 is Mr. Henry Beaudette. Henry, you've swept in this morning. There's a good buzz in the paddock.
Yep.
It feels like it's good to be back. First day of school for many of them.
The key word there was morning. I was not late. Yes, I was. It's a really, really exciting time. 2 weeks ago, we had the Rotax British Open, the O-Plate. This weekend is the IAME O-Plate, a huge entry. All the top drivers, all the top teams. The circuit, the Whilton Mill International Circuit, looks spectacular. The weather is also, I brought it with me from Wales, obviously. I brought it with me. So it's going to be set fair for the weekend. I can't believe this circuit has been here since 1991. I remember racing at it when it was still new-ish. On a corporate kart, yes. A wee bairn. 12 turns, including, of course, the last chicane, which is going to be, you know...
It's not new anymore, it's bedded in.
It's bedded in now, but they do have some of those curb flap things on them, don't they? What are they called?
The flip-flops.
The flip-flops. Oh,
weather steady for today,
yes.
12 degrees, bit of wind over the circuit as can be expected in this part of the world. The agenda for everyone today, it's all about the heats. They've had their timed qualifying earlier on this morning and going into the lunch break. 2 sets of heats for all classes of 10 minutes plus 1 lap. For drivers to try and negotiate their way, get points on the board, set themselves in a good position in the intermediate classification for the super heats tomorrow, and then of course the finals where we will find our British Open champions for 2025 across our categories here this weekend.
No, Andrew, obviously you and I, you know, married couple back together in the commentary box, but there is a third wheel.
We have got a third wheel.
And this week's third wheel is a new one. It's a new side piece. It's Piers Prior out on the grid. Hello, Piers. How are you?
Welcome to the grid, the very grid in which the drivers will be lining up from tomorrow for those O-Plate races, and I've got exactly one of those O-Plates right here. This is exactly what the drivers are after. Only one available per class. The drivers that win those in the finals tomorrow will be able to use it for 12 months. It means a lot. Of course, an O-Plate looks special, easy to spot, and those drivers can use the O-Plate in any Motorsport UK sanctioned event for the next 12 months. Very, very exciting. Andrew and Henry spoke about it a moment ago. We're back at sunny, splendid Whilton Mill. What a day, what a weekend of racing we have ahead of us, and the weather is looking like it's going to be perfect racing conditions. About 12 degrees, a little breezy today, not warm, but great racing. Of course, we had testing yesterday for most of the drivers, track well rubbered in, the circuit's looking great. Of course, all the Motorsport UK branding with all the partners and sponsors. The Whilton Mill is turned out excellently, curbs looking sparkly and bright as always, and it's a brilliant circuit to go racing on, Whilton Mill. I've raced here many, many times over the years. You can overtake on pretty much every single corner. Into turn 1, up towards Christmas, one of the main overtaking opportunities. Ashby hairpin, both left-handers in the midfield, and then of course the boot right behind us here, both into the left and into the right. And then the drivers also have to negotiate that tricky final chicane that was added last season. Plenty of opportunity between now and then for the drivers to get their head around that. But speaking to a lot of the drivers after practice, it's potentially the most tricky part of the circuit. Getting that run through that last section is critical. It will be critical for the racing to make sure that you get a good result, of course. Looking at some of the drivers, Henry and Andrew will be talking you through the whole grids, all the stories about where the drivers have come from moving up. But one thing to look out for this weekend, of course, first major race on the British karting calendar this year. So a lot of the drivers will have moved up classes. Let's particularly look out for in juniors, those drivers that have moved up from Waterswift into junior. Big jump for those drivers, you know, those going from a small kart to effectively a full-size chassis is a big jump, especially for those young drivers. drivers. And then also juniors into seniors. We know how competitive the senior racing is and how much power and extra weight there is in those karts. So those drivers going from junior to senior will have a lot more on their plate. And again, I've spoken to a couple of those drivers and they're saying that even the physicality of those senior karts is a bit extra. And of course, 2-day race weekend this weekend. Qualifying this morning, which we've already had, then the heats this morning, then we've got super heats tomorrow morning, and then the all-important O-plate finals tomorrow afternoon. So the drivers have to manage their tyres and also their physical load. As we mentioned, my name is Piers Prior. I will be your pit, paddock and parc ferme reporter for the whole weekend this weekend, bringing you all of the inside information from the team's drivers, family members, anyone around I can get any information off to supplement the amazing commentary of both of our wonderful commentators in the commentary box. But of course, we wouldn't be here without the wonderful partners that we have, and one of those, our main title partner of the Viratools British Kart Championships is Viratools themselves. So let's hear from them before we have the first heat in X30.
Thank you very much, Piers. There's a quick sight of Freddie Wood, who's one of the many drivers moving up from the intercategories to the juniors this season. But Henry, O-plate, British Open, what's it about? What does it mean to compete in it and win it?
You think of the name the Open, the golf, the Open in golf, the most famous traditional sports event in that particular field. This is open to anybody. Anybody from around the world can enter, and they have. In addition, 2 drivers from England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales. We have got drivers here from the Republic of Ireland, from Lithuania, from Sri Lanka, from Singapore, from Brazil, from the United Arab Emirates. They are all here because to be the British Open champion, you have to beat the best. And a famous wrestler once said, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And these are the young men and women of British karting. The O-plate, it's about to get underway. Race number 1, Junior X30, is up next.
Here we go then. First race of the IAME O-plate for 2025. Junior X30 get us going. Finlay Lines is on pole position, joined by the FIA Motorsport Games gold medalist from last year, George Edgar. Henry Carter and Rocco Lee and Shenton, they form up row number 2.
Rocco on the privateer entry. Isaac Sear from Singapore goes from grid 5 alongside Archie Owen. Aaron Richardson and Nat Johnson are on row number 4.
Row 5, Riley Cranham, runner-up in this championship last year, is joined by his Fusion Motorsport teammate Ethan Woodward on row 5. Harley Musk and Sam Woolley, they go from row 6.
Charlie Myers and Zach McDonald go from row number 7. Ty Buckley and the returning Max Endicott go from row number 8.
Jacob Marples and Cameron Edmonds will look to move forward from row 9. Honda Cadet O-plate winner last year at this place, Ralphie Branscombe, starts on row 10 and is joined by Freddie Wood.
Branscombe raced a road tax last weekend, at Tillotson the weekend before that, now he's in X30. Harry Myers and Brazil João Castro on row 11. Baron Altinsoy for the Netherlands and Max Wright on row 12.
Finley Allen and Oliver Meek have work to do from row 13. Look out for Sukhmani Kira on row 14. Is joined by Mayim Patel. Had a good run here last week. Zach Starbuck and John Foley Jr. of the Republic of Ireland form out row 15. It's a 30-strong grid, Henry.
On the live chat feature, we've already got Matthew Bocock saying good luck to Zach Starbuck. Please, if you're watching on the Alpha Live YouTube channel or the Karting UK YouTube channel, please keep your comments coming in. Who you're cheering for, where you're watching them from the Daily Motorsport team from Ireland. I will point out they're the team driver at the back of the field, but he has got that deep, deep blue livery. Reminds you of the Lambo F1 car from the early 90s. But enough of that, we've got some go-karting to talk about.
Here we go then into the tram lines. 10 minutes plus 1 lap is underway for the first heat of the weekend in Junior X30. It's a good start for Finlay Lines, who won the Minimax O-Plate here last year and dominated in that event in the early stages. A very good start for Henry Carter, who's up to second place. George Edgar going around the outside, and immediately we've got one of the best overtakes that you can do around this circuit. Not quite as good as some of the ones we saw here last year, but that was pretty good from George Edgar. Out wide now is Carter, so it's all gone wrong in the second phase of this first lap. Here we go. This is what we've come to expect from an O-Plate Henry. It's elbows out straight away.
I've got to say, the number 32 driver for Jamie Green Racing, that is Singapore's Isaac Sayer. Not a lot of people knew about Isaac, but I tell you what, there are a couple of drivers in this field who know about him now. He was ultra aggressive. A lot of drivers come over to the UK to work on their levels of aggression because we have such a great reputation for aggressive, hard racing. Well, he's learnt his lessons very early, and he's up into P3. We've got a battle for the lead. The Argenti Motorsport Driver Academy, Finlay Lines, driving for Premium Karting. A little bit of hand signalling there. George Edgar takes the lead in the number 6 kart, and again they're cooperating between each other, a little bit of signals so they don't drop back. But now the chasing pack is led by Archie Owen.
Is indeed. Well, in the early stages of this race, this is a continuation of the form that Whilton Mill Kart Club saw here 1 week ago, where George Edgar won the final at that club level. Bit of a wrestling moment there. Ty Buckley coming through the field in the number 51. Keep an eye on the Mick Barrett Racing boys this week.
Yep.
They have looked very, very quick in practice. They seem to be back to full form. They, of course, had a really tough year on and off track, the Mick Barrett Racing team in 2024, but it's good to see them back on song. There down the inside is the number 34 of Sam Woolley, who I expect to see coming through the field, as is Riley Cranham. Not the kind of qualifying that Cranham would have wanted. Here he is fighting with Rocco Lay and Shenton over 4th place, but arguably the favourite for this O-Plate heading into this weekend. Henry won 1 week ago at Cremona in the IAME Euro Series. Cranham seems to be getting back into the rhythm in the number 2 Fusion Motorsport kart.
Cranham has been a factor. Last year's Junior X30 British Championship runner-up. That's why he runs the number 2 plate. But closing in, we're going to have a 3-kart battle for the race lead. It's the BMR restart, number 14 of Archie Owen on the KR chassis. I saw here Force 1, Harry Platten here, working with the BMR drivers. Now, I mentioned about Isaac Sayer earlier on. He was up into P3 on lap number 1. There's a move. And the number 63, Henry Carter, makes, and somebody goes off the prepared surface there. That was the number 22 of Charlie Myers dropping back. But look at the number 32. He was ultra aggressive on the first lap. Then when things calmed down, the British regulars went, right, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And he found himself elbowed back to P7. But we have a 3-kart battle for the race lead. Here's a chasing pack coming up to Christmas Corner, being led by Henry Carter. Shenton, a new leader, Finlay Lines.
Finlay Lines does indeed take the lead of this one. I think that's because of the pace of Archie Owen has caught these two out. Owen down the inside there takes second place away from George Edgar. Finlay Lines, who was happy to sit behind Edgar in the early stages of this race, has seen how quickly Archie Owen has been able to pull up to the back of that duo and thought, right, I need track position, I need to be at the front of the field, I need to be able to use the pace that I know I have around this Whilton Mill circuit. Finlay Lines is very, very strong here at Whilton Mill. Elsewhere in the field, that chasing pack has the fastest driver out on circuit in it. It's a good move there from Henry Carter. There's a fight between Sayer and Riley Cranham. That's not worked out for Sayer at all. Will lose 8th place to Sam Woolley.
There is the difference between racing in the UK and racing in other countries. Isaac Sayer thought he saw a gap, and most of the time he thought, I'll put my nose at the inside there. I'm almost alongside, I've got the inside line. The other driver will see that and realise, oh, it's okay. No, not in the UK. If you're not fully alongside, then it's, yeah, you've got to commit or sit back and wait. But the privateer number 86, Rocco Leon Shenton, always a factor. Anywhere he goes, whatever class of kart he sits in, and now for the first time, Archie Owen takes the lead. Archie drove for Croc Promotions last year, did the World Championship, and almost made it to the final, didn't he? And I spoke to his mum, and his mum was like, "Oh, we didn't expect to get anywhere near the final. It was just a learning experience." Well, he learnt, and he's now putting it into practice.
It's a good start for Archie Owen, is looking to take that big step towards the podium places this season. Should also note, Mohan Patel is on an absolute tear through the field, has gained 18 places now, is up into the top 10. It's been a difficult start to the weekend, in particular the junior and the senior categories for Jade Racing Team, but practice and qualifying is over. Now we're into the racing. It's starting to look pretty good for them. Sam Woolley, new fastest lap of the race, at the back of that pack there, the number 34 BMR machine. So he's looking to close in on the likes of Ty Buckley and Rocco Leon Shenton, who I first saw race here back in the Honda Cadet days, probably in something like 2018, 2019. He knows this place very, very well indeed. Warding for Joao Castro in the number 21 Praga IPK machine. Castro flying the flag for Brazil. Is currently down in P22. Good move there. George Edgar fighting back down the inside of Archie Owen for second place.
And there's just one move there, and look at the deficit that has opened up to the leader, between the leader and then Edgar in second and Owen in third. And look how much closer the chasing pack have got, led by the number 63 of Henry Carter, then Rocco Leon Shenton, Ty Buckley in the 51, and Sam Woolley in the number 34 kart. There's now 2 seconds separating the top 7. Talk about Joao Castro. Good to see the IPK Racing UK team. Hopefully we'll get a full season in the British Championship out of the Praga chassis. The karts always look fantastic. Now we've got to get them going as well as they look. Because of course they're a very successful chassis around the world. But yeah, haven't quite found their sweet spot in the UK yet. But hopefully, in the hands of Castro, that could be about to change. New fastest lap, Samuel Woolley, who is now the last kart on your screen in kart number 34. And the other thing I've noticed, Andrew, I mean, I know we had a partial lunar eclipse today, earlier on today, but you can see the shadows, but the sun is shining brightly. It just shows how bumpy is this circuit. These drivers, if you don't have your rib protector on, then you're, one foot in the ambulance already. Here is Rocco Shenton, but Piers Prior in the paddock pit lane. Potentially, you there, Piers?
All the P's. Yeah, just had a quick word with Dan from Mick Barrett Racing. Interested to hear about the psychology going into this race. Of course, first race of the weekend. I asked what George's mindset was, and he said, going to try and win it from, of course, without crashing. But interesting to know the drivers are not taking it easy from the first race this weekend, trying to get as many wins on the boards, even in the heats, if they can.
Absolutely, thanks for that information, Piers. There's a right old scrap going on between Shenton, Owen, Buckley and Woolley. That's all over 4th place. It may offer a bit of an olive branch to Riley Cranham to get involved. I'm a bit surprised to see Cranham down in 8th place at this early stage. Good move there from Ty Buckley. Down the inside, gets past Sam Woolley for another position. This does mean that the top 3 have completely broken off the front of the field now. Finlay Lyons still leading from George Edgar and Henry Carter. There goes Cranham. That's more like it. Through past Woolley for 7th place. Further down the order, other drives through the field. We should note Zach Starbuck had a difficult time in qualifying for Piers Sexton Racing. Good drive from Zach, up 14 places and into the top 15. Sukmani Kira as well is making moves up through the order, is now into the top 20. And another thing for the drivers to consider, there's not going to be any repecharges, there's not going to be any cut-off. All of these drivers will make the final come Sunday afternoon. So there are opportunities to play the long game as well here, Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're seeing, drivers not being stupidly aggressive, but they all know that, look, we're in the main event, we can afford to try a few things.
Yeah.
You know, let's see how our classmates play, so to speak, as the 66 Kart. That is Max Wright from the Simon Wright Race Developments team. I think it's possibly the first retirement of the race. But yeah, they're testing the water. They're seeing how well do I know this driver? Because Finley Lines and George Edgar, they didn't compete together last year. They competed in different classes. So this is the first time in the UK. Obviously, a lot of these drivers are racing, like you said, out in Europe and other places around the world. But on British soil, this is the first time that all these drivers are around. You know, these are the boys and girls I'm going to be fighting for a British title with. And so, yeah, we need to sort of suss each other out. There's some new kids in class, and there are some, some veterans. And so everybody needs to establish a new pecking order. And speaking of pecking, that is Rocco Leon Shenton closing his beak. Oh, behind them, that is, a BMR restart, the BMR stop-start. Two of them come together, Wooly and Archie Owen. I think that was possibly as a result of Shenton and Cranham battling and weaving offline. Ooh, there's a new look. That's going through the boots, that is. That's a backwards look at the boots. As the checkered flag comes out, our first winner of the 2025 IAME and Honda Motorsport UK British O-Plate is Finley Lines, who picks up where he left off at the O-Plate last year.
New colours for Finley Lines, of course, running with the Argenti Academy in the premium karting awning this weekend, but it's the same result in the X30 junior category. Finley Lines takes the first win of the weekend. George Edgar, an impressive P2. Henry Carter, after the really good start, unfortunate moments later on in lap 1, recovers back to P3. Rocco Leon Shenton in 4th ahead of Riley Cranham. I say the first half of the race wasn't up to Cranham's standards, but that's good to see that there is some race pace there for the number 2 seed into the top 5. Cameron Edmonds, great drive there, up 12 places for MDL Motorsport to P6. Nat Johnston might be a little bit disappointed with P7, was rapid in free practice yesterday, but look out for another one of the MBRs there. Rest of the top 10, Mayan Patel up 20 places for Jade Racing Team. Isaac Sayer and Ty Buckley completed that top 10. Rest of the runners, Aaron Richardson, Zach McDonald, Zach Starbuck up 16 to P13. Archie Owen, Sam Woolley, Harley Musk, Charlie Myers, Jacob Marples and Sukmani Kira all in the top 20, completed by Ethan Woodward. Oliver Meek, Max Endicott, Joao Castro, Ralphie Branscombe, Freddie Wood all record top 25s. Baron Alton Soy P26, John Foley Jr. P27. Two more finishers in Finley Allen and Max Wright. The single non-finisher in that one was Harry Myers. More to come here at Whilton Mill. We'll be back for race 2 in a moment's time.
Here on the dummy grid, waiting for the first senior X30 race. Interesting race in that junior X30. Taking it a little bit easy, I think, compared to what we've seen potentially in the past in the junior X30. So building into the weekend. But looking ahead now to senior X30. A couple of stories from practice and qualifying I wanted to pick up on that Andrew and Henry will be able to talk you through the race as well. Pole position, Cian Geraghty, as we've seen. Fred Green, he's starting on 2nd place outside of the front row. He's not actually, I don't believe, concentrating on karting this year because he is the Janetta Junior Scholar for this coming season. And he wasn't here at practice on Friday, but was setting a blistering pace this morning in non-qualifying practice, was right up there, straight out of the box. So clearly got that Croc Motions kart pretty dialed in pretty quickly early on. Another person to look out for, another Croc driver, Gabriel Stilt. I had him penciled down for pole position in my mind, because in every single practice session on Friday he was either top or second place, and in quite a lot of the sessions had a clear 10th on the rest of the field. He's starting down in 6th place, so keep an eye out for the number 11 of Gabriel Stilp. And another driver to look for further down the field, 18th place, the number 23, Harrison Mackie, was 8/10 off in qualifying. 8/10 off is not something we often talk about with Harrison Mackie, so plenty of things to look out for in this race. I'm hoping it's going to be a good one.
Piers, quick question.
Yes.
Okay, no, this is Piers Prior, Pit Paddock and Park Ferme reporter. Now,
All the P's.
all the P's, repeat after me. Peter Parker picked a pack of pickled peppers, a pack of pickled peppers, Peter Piper picked. Go on.
I'll leave that to you, Henry.
No. Go on now. Oh, you got to go. Piers Prior, pick up a penguin. Come on.
Peter Piper Penguin pickled. Anyway. Well, anyway, go on, Henry.
Piers
What was it?
Prior. Let's have some go-karting. Thank you very much, Piers.
Very good. So, Senior X30 up next, their first heat of 2 here today. 30 drivers all competing for the O-Plate. We've had some questions, Henry, in the chat about the differences in the O-Plates. If there's any differences at all.
There's no difference. Only the types of engines are on the go-karts. So every single class of Motorsport UK kart has an O-Plate title. So 2 weeks ago at PF International, we had the O-plates for the Micro Max, Mini Max, Junior Max, Senior Max. At the same time, at Shennington, there was the O-plate for the KZ2 karts. Here are the remaining IAME classes and the Honda classes, so Honda Cadet, Waterswift Restricted, Waterswift, Junior X30 and Senior X30. There will be, I believe, another O-plate event for our 2 Bambino categories. They run with the Kart Championship, not Motorsport it's Motorsport UK Championship, but they run with another paddock, the Might E Bambinos, and then the Coma engine Bambinos. So there we are. So there's no difference. You're fighting for the same prize. Well, you're not fighting for the same prize. They don't share like one O-plate and hand it around between them. Each winner gets their own plate. I think you probably gathered that already. Happy birthday, William Ray, from Noah McNichols. Again, great to see Jack Dan in the paddock. I spoke to Jack. He was a TKM driver. Was he actually the very first year of the modern era Motorsport UK British Championship back in 2019. I remember speaking to him at Kimbolton. Now, we talked about our wonderful partners, Vera Tools. You've got Demon Tweaks here, but I think I found the reason, Andrew, why the drivers are driving the circuit so well.
Go for it.
They've been practicing on their kart sim rigs throughout the winter, and kart sim are here in the paddock. They have really upped their support for the British Championship this year. So practice in the off-season in the sim, and now putting it into practice on the track. Okay, there is the silence, the whistle blows, the dads and the mechanics part company with the drivers and the karts, and very soon we will be off and running.
Quick sight of Roth there, Harvey Roth. The reason why he's at the back sees his engine in qualifying. You can see a bit of dirt on his tyres. All of these tyres were used in TQ earlier on today, of course. And quite a few returning drivers as well, which we'll talk about in a few moments' time. Molly Pugh in the foreground there was unfortunately underweight, which is why she starts at the back. But we're ready for it. It's heat number 1 for Senior X30. Let's take you through the grid then for the first heat in Senior X30 Heat here today. Reigning Kart Masters champion Cian Geraghty is on pole position. The winner here last week in Kart Club, Fred Green, starts alongside on row 1. Jack Buckley and Harrison Whitcomb, they go from row number 2.
Lewis Bird and Gabriel Stilp. Gabriel back in karting. Go from row number 3. Samuel Branston and Ireland's Morgan Moore on row 4.
Sam Lewis and Ryan Dharmadasa go from row number 5. Oliver Rands and Ali Cresswell, they're on row 6.
Rayan is visiting here from Sri Lanka. Jensen Pugh and Micah Taylor on row number 7. Theo Lestrange and Tristan Powell go from row number 8.
Ryan Eckerberg knows this place well, starts on row 9. Not a good qualifying for last year's X30 Junior British champion Harrison Mackie. CJ Bennett's been quick so far this week and is on row number 10 alongside Spencer Braun.
Laith Khan, George Quartermain, Max Cooper and Luca Mann are up next. Harrison Mackie having all virtually his best 3 laps deleted because he went across the flip-flops.
Harrison Morrow, Oliver Harris, Harvey Roth, Jack Dan take us down to 28th place. Henry Ryan and Molly Pugh complete the 30-strong field here in Senior X30 into those tram lines, watching for the lights. They go out. 10 minutes plus 1 lap is underway. Cian Geraghty gets the best possible start, will lead through the first couple of corners and into the first braking zone here at Christmas, but is being challenged by Jack Buckley, who started on grid number 3. Gabriel Stilt with the elbows out, back after his broken ankle in preparations for the World Championships last autumn, and it's everybody trying to just survive in this early stage through the Ashby hairpin, that difficult braking zone downhill. That's a nice move through the field. It looks like Oliver Rands there in the number 27 Optimum Performance machine is looking to gain in the early stages.
Yeah, there's a Tim Wilson Motorsport car running mid-pack with a large divot in its nose cone. I think it could be that one there, number 33, which would be Alistair Cresswell. It's either that or a black sticker at a very inopportune position. So apologies to Tim Wilson team if I've just giving you all heart attacks there, but there's Harrison Whitcomb. Now, Finley Lines, so the Argenti Motorsport Driver Academy, they've got 4 drivers here, 1 in each category, Waterswift Restricted and the main Waterswift class. Finley Lines, you just seen in juniors, and Harrison Whitcomb in seniors. Harrison and Finley will both represent the UK in the FIA-CIK Academy this year. There's now a junior academy and a senior academy. Harrison in the thick of the lead pack, which currently stands at 2, 4, 6, 7 members.
It does indeed. 8 minutes and 20 seconds of this one to go, and it's a pretty standard senior run at the moment. Very tight at the front. Fred Green, winner 1 week ago, down the inside, takes a position, as does Gabriel Stilp. That was going past the number 5 seed from last year, Lewis Bird. Harrison Whitcomb having a little look at Lewis Bird. Had a really tough 2024 season, did Harrison Whitcomb. When it went well, it went very well. He was a race winner last season, but too many low points, particularly here in the O-Plate 1 year ago, where some troubles with the tyres meant that he wasn't going to be a competitor in the latter stages of that one. Looking to have a fun time this season is the number 1 reason for this year.
Harrison's has just gone, thank you, Andrew, for reminding me of that. Yeah, that was a lovely... Although I benefited from it because I got their hotel room on a Saturday night because they weren't there anymore. But no, again, if there's one redemption arc for Harrison Mackie, Harrison Whitcomb rather, the other Mackie, Harrison Mackie, is making good grounds. But speaking of groaning, Piers Prior has something to tell us. What have you got for us, Piers?
Well, one thing I noticed, Henry, throughout practice yesterday and this morning is the crop promotion carts very, very quick at the start of sessions, and we're seeing that one in this one again. So maybe throughout the weekend I'll see if I can get some inside information on whether that's a setup or driving thing, but interesting to see that that's playing out already.
I think it could be a fact that crop promotions are based here at Whilton Mill.
Well.
They know this place like the back of their hand, or they were based here at Whilton Mill for many years. I'm not sure where they're based now. Just not here.
Indeed. 6.5 minutes of this one to go, and Cian Geraghty is, well, if he had wing mirrors, they'd be full of Fred Green right now. Fred Green looking for a way through. Didn't have any practice running yesterday, but clearly has got the speed. Got his practice in last week during Kart Club. Further down the order, who's coming through the field? Micah Taylor is on the move, up 4 spots in another one of the crop promotion karts into the top 10. Harrison Mackie, as we would expect, is coming through the field. It's a tricky jump, isn't it, Henry, from juniors to seniors? Yes, the technical platform is very similar, but the style of racing is very different. Harrison Mackey's had a solid start to his time in senior at IAME Winter Cup and Euro Series 1 week ago, but back in the cut and thrust of the British karting world, he's got some work to do.
Yeah, and also, okay, so the step up from Inter, the Waterswift class, to juniors is great because it's a different size of the chassis. The chassis physically gets bigger, longer, wider. Seniors, even though they've raced the same chassis as last year, the engine is obviously more powerful, but the biggest jump is brains.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you'll find the more experienced senior drivers, they've just got to spend the first, little bit of the season ironing out the last bit of junior out of the graduates, because they arrive into seniors full of vim and vinegar. I'm careful what words I use, and you've just got to get used to a slightly more patient driving style.
Indeed, we had a quick sight there of Laith Khan being on the move in the Jade Racing team Birrell ART machine, and is that a change at the front? Yes, it is. What has happened to Cian Geraghty's pace? It's seemingly dropped off. Red Green has taken the lead of this one, and Gabriel Stilp is now through to P2. So Cian Geraghty, who likes the one-off events, that GP plate that he won in the summer last year at PF International during the Kart Masters meeting, shows that he knows how to get it done in these one-offs, but right now he's going to be scratching his head back in the Geraghty Motorsport awning as to what he needs to do to deal with the pace of these two Croc promotions. They are looking quick in the middle phase of this race as well, Henry. Still through into P2.
And I have to say that we're talking about the jump up from junior to senior. Just looking, I mean, I don't know who is going to come back and enter for the main British Championship, but you look at some of the contenders, like Gus Lawrence. Gus, the PF International team, not here. Now, whether Gus will be doing the main British Championship, I would assume, I would hope so.
Hope so, yeah.
But I mean, Freddie Lloyd, cars. Noah Wolf, cars.
And a bit of KZ.
A bit of KZ as well, so hopefully we'll see Noah in the KZ Championship. There's only Geraghty and the number 5 plate of Lewis Bird, who are returning seeded drivers from last year, as things stand. Fred Green, a junior graduate. Gabriel still didn't do the full season, British season last year. He was, hoping to move out of karting into cars, but let's see if we can get some of these drivers to make a career out of karting. But then you look down there, Morgan Moore, junior graduate. Harrison Whittaker, junior graduate. Harrison Mackey, junior graduate. The opportunity for a first-year senior driver to do well in the British, obviously the likes of Bird and Geraghty would say otherwise.
Yeah.
However, there aren't that many class mainstays in 2025. There's a real shifting of the guard, changing of the guard, so to speak.
Absolutely agree. 2.5 minutes of this swan to go. Tristan Powell, currently your fastest driver out there in 14th place. Meanwhile, at the front of the order, this one's not done. Geraghty's dug deep, but is now going to be under a bit of pressure from one of those seeded drivers from last year's Senior X30 Championship, Lewis Bird. Harrison Whittaker still there as well, P5. This is a solid start for Whittaker. Gabriel Stilp takes the fastest lap of the race, 45.42. Lewis Bird has a little think, perhaps, of diving down the inside of Geraghty into Christmas corner, but thinks better of it for now. Maybe play another half lap to see if as a trio they can close in on Stilp. Further down the order, who's making up positions? We mentioned Laith Khan up 4 places now to P17. Harvey Roth, after that engine seizure this morning, is now back up into the top 20. That is a gain of 7 places. 1 minute and 30 seconds to go on the clock. Seniors taking a lot of that curb. Very tricky part of the course. I was talking to Spencer Braum yesterday, Henry, about how that corner, it's not the new chicane anymore, it's bedded in, how it's changed, how the tarmac's slightly changed over the last 12 months, and how if you ask too much of the kart on either entry or exit, you can lose a lot of time through there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the O plates, the Rotax O plate last year, which was here. It was simply a case of aim, fire, launch,
Yep.
land, turn. You've got to be a little bit more delicate now. I did notice the previous lap, we had a camera shot from, I think it was probably from the top of Inkerman's or Ashby's looking down, and it was producer's OCD, fantastic. There was lots of layers. There was lines and layers. It was people and tyres and karts. It was art. Art, I tell you.
There we go. Get
Kart
one on the art. The art
51
counter.
and 11. A croc 1-2. Green against Stilp.
And I'll be pretty happy with this at the moment, but it's not done yet because this trio of Geraghty, Bird, Whitacombe have pulled the Croc boys back in, so it's going to be a 5-way scrap for the lead in a few moments' time. 10 seconds on the clock. I think we might get final lap board this time around. The counter ticks to 0, and it will be final lap board. Plenty of curb being taken again, and now Fred Green's got to work hard because Gabriel Stilp is going to be right there. What a return to karting this would be for Gabriel Stilp after that horrible crash that he had during the Champions of the Future PF International event 1 week before the World Championships that took him out of those World Championships, and I think he would have had a pretty good chance in that one. Now he's wrestling his teammate Fred Green for the race victory here in Heat 1. He's on the outside, thinks better of it, maybe a chance into Ozies. He has a half look, but Fred Green's got the corner speed to deal with that one. Now Stilp's got to deal with Cian Geraghty into the boot. Fred Green should have this 1-1. Can Stilp get it locked down? Yes, he can. It is going to be a Croc Promotion 1-2 in the first heat of the weekend for Senior X30. Fred Green wins again like he did 6 days ago in the final of Whilton Mill Kart Club's meeting this month. Will it be the same results on Sunday? Stilp P2, Geraghty P3, Bird and Whitacombe with solid starts as well, Henry.
And you saw Gabriel Stilp as they came out of Ashby, sort of Gabriel remonstrating a little bit with Fred, say don't defend, push. Why was he doing that? Because he knew that that by Fred defending, Gabriel would get backed up into Geraghty, Bird and Whitacombe, and of course the 4 of them crossed the line, inches apart, and still instead of having to attack, he had to defend for the last half a lap there. Harrison Mackie up from 18th to 10th. Steady progress. Steady.
Points on the board, and don't rule Mackie out. So we of course have seen drives through the field before. Other big drives there, Henry?
Rian Damadasa, a driver I know well from the Middle East and from MENA competition. Rian, he was quick yesterday, and I said to him earlier on, I said, yes, now you've got to learn how to race with these kids, these boys and girls. And for the Jack Dex racing team, finishing 16th, learning an awful lot. Harvey Roth, well, maybe, I won't say this, Mr. Roth will upset, I'll kill me, but maybe he should blow his engine more often because he's gained 9 places there. And Harrison Morrow, for the Klassen Motorsport team, always fantastic to have the Klassen team in the pits. And Harrison, who's, again, having injury issues over the winter, fighting hard and keeping his dad Rich happy, which is what we all want. So, 2 races down. Andrew, should we hear for some more of our lovely, wonderful sponsors and partners?
Oh, go on then.
Oh, why not?
Yep, back down here, Piers Prior, paddock, pit lane, Parc Ferme pundit person is here again. Yes, we've got, of course, Waterswift next. Waterswift is for the drivers aged 10 to 13 years old. A couple things to look ahead for in this race. Fusion Motorsport, as they often do in these younger categories, they dominated qualifying first, second, third, fifth, and then a lot further down the field. Our first non-fusion driver in fourth place, Mason Brooks, just spoke to Mason's dad, and Mason said he's going for it. I said, is he worried the fact that he's not got any teammates around him? And he said, nope, he'll go for it absolutely the same. On the flip side, I spoke to Harry Williams' mechanic, I think it was, or one of the Fusion mechanics, and said, you know, is there any team orders at this early stage in the weekend? And he said, the only rule is they're not allowed to take each other out. Everything else is fair game. So looking forward to a good fight in this one. Henry, Andrew, back to you.
Thank you very much, Piers. I'm looking forward to this one as well. You've got a good mix in this category, Henry, of drivers staying at this level.
Yes.
Particularly the likes of Austin Newstead, the number 4 seed from last year. Austin Gibson, who had a good second half of 2024 as he got up to speed with things. He's stayed in IAME Waterswift. Harry Williams as well. The battle is not 100% between Fusion and the Excel Motorsport team. You've got a couple of runners from Evolve, you've got a couple of privateers in there as well. But I think that is going to be the big story of this year. It's going to be the blue and orange against the kind of, well, it's the often seen colours, isn't it?
The purple,
the purple, the white,
and
the pink
team,
of Excel.
who appear to have picked up quite a few drivers. Of course, Oliver Rowland Motorsport disbanding at the end of last year. Oliver is still sort of supporting a couple of drivers individually, but not as a team. However, in that, you failed to mention the championship-winning team from last year.
True.
Jamie Green Racing. Now, obviously, Jamie has moved up, but you know, the equipment that he used is still there. And now Jamie and the rest of the team have got to develop the drivers that they've got in their team now to learn how to win. Now, Piers Prior, the Paddock and Park Ferme reporter, he mentioned he spoke to Harry Williams, his mechanic. And Harry is one of those drivers that is coming back this year. He's got Danny Porter now looking after him. Again, Harry, last year, sort of the progress, the upward trend leveled out. Danny P on the spanners now, that trend has suddenly shot upwards again, and he's now coming good on the promise that he showed when he first broke into the sport about 3 years ago, is young Harry.
It was an interesting year for Harry, where I would argue that he probably had a better time on the European scene than he did in the British scene. But again, that's the differences in the styles.
Orion Meta, that's the first time I've seen
that late.
A rocket ship.
Where's Orion
Ilias
Sami?
There's Joseph Davis. Joseph Davis, there's a good one. He's a Welsh, he is. I can tell. Oh, Siamai. What are they? Doing Hoffi Go-kartio.
Mentioning your part of the world,
yes.
or the constituent country.
The constituent, don't mess with me.
We go to GYG this year.
Pardon?
For these guys, we go to Glanigor.
Yes. It's Henry King. Henry King has come all the way over from Dubai to race. And again, there, Ilias Sami. That is a championship-winning package from last year. The only thing that's changed is the pilot in the middle. But, you know, again, there's the people around him. There's, you know, Henderson Kill. Plenty of experience there. Premium karting. Good to see Premium stepping into the Waterswift. You know, they're usually associated with junior and senior. Now they've gone into racing as well. And there's Mason Brooks, a race winner in the British Championship in the Waterswift restricted class, now in with the big guns.
Yes, indeed, and it's got a decent grid position for this first heat of the weekend. All of these grid positions set by timed qualifying. Drivers' best three, the average across their best 3 lap times put in the order for 1 through 27 for IAME Waterswift. Let's get ready for it. Heat 1 in Waterswift is next. Let's take you through the grid then for this one. It's going to be a pretty competitive first heat, I believe, for Waterswift. Harry Williams is on pole position. It's an all-Fusion front row with Austin Newstead on the outside. Alfie Davidson steps up to Waterswift, last year's Waterswift Restricted champion. He's on row 2, he's joined by Mason Brooks.
Row 3, Austin Gibson and Night Measures. Zach Champney and Luca Narroway are on row number 4.
George House won 1 week ago at Cremona, starts on row 5 alongside Margaris Kvetskis. A very impressive qualifying there from Kvetskis. Jensen Ackerman and Chester Fawkes, they're on row 6.
Fawkes is the Argenti Academy back driver in this category. Colby Patterson and George Clark are on row 7. Mason Hibbert and Johnston Stewart, the XL drivers, all using the Energy Course chassis.
Andy Stewart is next up on row number 9. Charlie Clough alongside Alessandro Salas and Oscar Kenny completes the top 20. Henry King, Joseph Davis, Sophie Campbell, Ilias Sami take us to 24th. Ethan Robinson, Orion Meta and Ruben Sagu completes the 27 runners in this one. So, Fusion Motorsport lockout on the front row. 2 drivers who know this category well from last year. Williams versus Newstead. Are we good for a start?
No.
I don't think the answer is yes. No, we'll go around again for another formation lap.
It does, however, give us a chance to admire the number 15 car. There he goes, Margaris Kvetskis. That is a graphics kit and a half. That looks very nice. Privateer run entry. It's glistening in the silver. Oof, reflecting. You know what it reminds me of? Panini football album.
Yes.
It's a shiny.
Oh, it's a shiny.
It's a shiny. It's a club badge. It's a shiny. Got, need, need, got. Yeah, that's a good graphics kit there. Number 15, Margaris Kvetskis. Well done.
But as I say, genuinely a very good qualifying from Margaris. Let's not forget that 15 months ago, Margaris was just taking his first steps into owner racing, was in Honda Cadet last year, finished the season very strongly at Three Sisters. The year before that, he was in Arrive and Drive karting in Club 100 elsewhere on the karting pathway. So we'll be keeping an eye on the privateer there, flying the flag for Lithuania. Second time of asking, are we good for the green? Yes, we are. Away we go. 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Good start for both of the Fusion drivers on the front row of the grid, but it's going to be advantage to Williams in the early stages of this one. 3 wide, a little bit further back in the field. Here comes Austin Gibson down the inside, going for second place. Another one of the favourites this year, I would say, in IAME Waterswift. Took a bit of time to get into his stride in 2024, but staying in the division for this year. Keep an eye on the IAME Waterswift Restricted Champion from 2023. Good start as well for Luca Narroway. Luca Narroway down the inside there into Osiers. The green and white have evolved, moving up through the order. Night Measures also out there for that team.
You know, in cadet racing, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's a Fusion 1, 2, 3, 5. Now, it was a Fusion 1, 2, 3, 4. But Zach Champney on that very, very well-driven Birrell ART, the privateer driver, who incidentally went viral during last year's Kart Masters coverage for passing 5 drivers in one corner. You can go and look at the Alpha Live Instagram reels for that. And Champney, he's, I said, right, well, pick him up and put him down. He's up into P3 now. And that is last year's 5th, 2 of the top 5 in last year's British Championship have just been put to the sword. And I tell you what else, Luca Narroway, he's gained a bit of aggression over the winter as well. That's good stuff there. Hadley will be happy with that, as the rest of the field, this multicoloured cornucopia of cadet karting craziness comes across the line to complete lap number 2. Harry Williams leads.
Mason Hibbert on the move as well, has gained 5 places in the number 33 for Fusion Motorsport, is into the top 10, and as is often the way here at Whilton Mill, in the younger categories it can stay close, you can make progress through the course of a heat like this of 10 minutes. Some problems out there for Night Measures. Night has fallen down the order to P16 and just behind Charlie Clough. Charlie Clough looking to have a bit of a bounce back after a tough qualifying. Was very strong at the IAME Winter Cup a few weeks ago. So that got all a little bit close in the second half of the top 10. I think it was the number 84 of Mason Brooks, who's changed teams, is now as part of the XL Motorsport stable.
Yes.
Brooks is now P9.
Was that the first meeting of a Fusion kart and an XL kart in race conditions, shall we say? It will be the first, but it will not be the last this year, as XL look to take the fight to the all-conquering Fusion team, who incidentally, and my statistics which for the British Championship will come into play, however, Fusion have retaken top spots from Dan Holland Racing in terms of the most amount of final wins in the modern era of the British Championship, by one victory.
They have indeed. It's close at the front, but at the moment Williams and Davidson working together. This is a good start for Alfie Davidson, who I quite like the programme that Alfie Davidson and the family behind Alfie have been doing, because yes, he's stepped up. Yes, he was last year's restricted champion, but he has already got a good amount of experience with this almost like power grade. So a good amount of experience in Europe from last year and the start of this season as well. And it's showing here that immediately he's on the pace. With that extra power, he's able to deal with it.
Yeah.
Looking to continue the results that we saw in 2024.
Yeah, had a year. I mean, at the end of 2023, they sent Alfie out to Las Vegas to race at Las Vegas Supernats. And, you know, that is a car park circuit, a wholly different discipline altogether. Okay, so the Waterswift restricted grid last year wasn't the biggest.
No.
You know, he had his challenges. He had, you know, he didn't have it all his own way, even though he won the championship with a round to spare. However, yeah, he's a British champion, and he's turned up in this next level as, number one, the confidence of a British champion, and you can see the results.
And whilst a smaller grid, it was a good grid. The likes of Daniel Ferguson, Chester Forks on that one, James Roots, all pushed Alfie Davidson very far. He took a lot of race victories, but it wasn't often by a big margin in 2024. 5 minutes and 10 seconds of this one to go. Williams still your leader, but not for much longer, because Davidson's gone for the move down the inside into Ozier's and taking it away. Now, is that in response to the pace of Zach Champney? Because Champney is closing in and pulling the likes of Luca Narroway and Austin Newstead with him. Austin Gibson and George House there as well. George House, very impressive start to his Waterswift and IAME karting season. Was on the front row of the grid for the final at the IAME Winter Cup, had technical problems, moved back in that one. Won 1 week ago for the first round at Cremona, as Austin Newstead has a look there at Luca Narroway. We said it yesterday during the build-up show. I'm not going to promise that George House will win this weekend, but if you want a driver who's going to keep pushing and pushing on for every single position, George House is a sure bet for that. He's quite quiet. He's quite shy at times on the camera. That'll come in time as we see more and more across the course of the season.
Not a problem.
But out on track.
George House at Kart Masters.
Yeah.
He's a couple of podiums at Kart Masters. After, you know, a driver that, doesn't know how to spell give up.
No.
You know, or doesn't know how to say give up. He's there at the back of this train in the XL Motorsport kart. Number 77. He's going to pick up some ground here as we've got a new leader. That's Harry Williams retaking top spot. There goes.
There you go. 3
for the price of 1. Just to give it Luca Narroway in that Evolve Motorsport car. Now, it was 2 years ago, 2022, 2023, where Luca, he was barely 8 years old, and he was driving in, it was still called IAME Cadet, it wasn't called Waterswift, it was the last year of the IAME Cadet class. And it was the year where there was 20,000 Fusion karts, another 20,000 ORM karts, 1 Jamie Green kart and 1 Croc. And the Croc was Luca Narroway. And he was at the back. And I remember speaking to him, we'd always ask him, where do you think you're going to finish? And he'd like, I think I'm going to finish 26th today. He was very specific.
Very specific.
Then he was 23rd. And at the end, the last round of the season, he said, I think I might take 19th. You know, fast forward, and he's here battling for the British, at the front of the field in the British Championship.
Saw some good moves there. Austin Gibson got back down the inside of George House, who has had a warning flag out there in this one. Some other moves. I think George Clark, yes, has been on the move. George Clark, another one of the drivers switching teams this year into the Fusion stable, is now also up into the top 10 in this race. Less than 2.5 minutes on the clock then. It's still this pair of Fusion drivers at the front of the field, back in the order of Williams and Davidson. What is the pace like? Well, 50.8 last time around for these two. Zach Champney now in a tricky spot here, Henry.
Yes.
On his own. Pace is still good at 51.0 as Luke Narroway goes down the inside of Jensen Ackerman for P9. I think Champney now needs a buddy. He needs someone else there, yes, like an Aussie Gibson, just to keep the momentum going. Otherwise, he's going to lose out over the next lap or so.
But as a privateer, what is the one thing that you've never got any of?
Teammates.
Friends and teammates. Now, as we've got 90 seconds to go, we've had a very rather assertive comments coming on the live chat, Andrew. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Gascune TV, and the message reads as follows: please answer. What time is Sebastian Behrman racing, and in what class? Question mark. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you now. Let's find out. Watch on. There we are. At least he said please.
He did say please.
He did say please.
I don't think he's actually here today.
Well, okay.
You'll
watch and find out.
Yeah, keep watching. Keep
watching and find out. Boost the stream numbers. Come on now.
less than 60 seconds of this one to go. Harry Williams still at the front of the field. There was a change. That was Austin Newstead getting through past Austin Gibson. A switch of the Austins for P4. 40 seconds to go. What does Alfie Davidson do here? Does he keep this formation as is, or does he go for the victory? He has a little check over the shoulder. The number 23 is under investigation for something that's happened out there. New race numbers for the start of the season. That's, of course, Ethan Robinson, currently down in 23rd place.
One thing I'm never going to sort of second guess, but if Alfie Davidson were to stay put, whether he's fast enough to pass Harry Williams or not, it's not a bad idea to sit in second. So think about it from Alfie Davidson's point of view. I've chased the leader, I've passed the leader, I've led for a few laps, but then been repassed, and now I'll sit behind. He can learn how to manage a race against one of his main rivals this way, because he knows how fast Harry is at the start of the race and how fast he is at the end of the race, and he knows how comfortable he was when he was leading, Davidson. So I know that every driver wants to win, but in heat number 1, it's not bad to just have a look. Have a think and have a look and suss out, because, if the road to the Waterswift O-plate leads through that number 8 kart, of that I am certain.
And we're going to talk about data, I think, a lot this weekend, and with these teams in particular. It's why we see a lot of Fusions, a lot of Excel runners. It's often a case of the drivers and the people behind them wanting to have that share of knowledge. That's great knowledge from Alfie Davidson to go down the inside into Osier, so he's not going to sit in second place. He wants the race victory. He wants a repeat of what we saw many times in 2024 in IAME Waterswift Restricted. It's going to be P1 again for Alfie Davidson, taking the first heat of the weekend from Harry Williams. It's a Fusion 1-2. Zach Champney, P3, Austin Newstead and Austin Gibson make it 4 Fusion runners in the top 5. Mason Brooks wins out in the battle between the Excel drivers. I think George House had a problem on the last lap there, fell down to 12th place, but Brooks in the top 10 with Luca Narroway. George Clark, good drive there from George, up 6 places to P8. Jensen Ackerman and Colby Patterson complete the top 10, as there is the end of things for the number 33 of Mason Hibbert.
And Margaris Kvetskis.
Indeed, so they didn't see the end of the race. I think Ilias Sami also had problems on that last lap. 3 drivers not finishing.
All 3 of those drivers, because they all came through the second sector, although I think Ilias Sami may have had a separate problem earlier on in the lap, if I'm being honest. But there's the top 10. Just outside the top 10 in P11, Chester Forks. So Chester, who was one of them. Oh, I'm going to save this for a quiz question, but there's a quiz question in chat. There's no point in me asking now because I just said the answer is Chester Fawkes. Chester Fawkes was on the podium every single round of the British Championship last year. One of only 2 drivers to be on the podium every single round of the British Championship last year.
Answers in the comments who the other one was.
Answers in the comments who the other one was, but I got to then get my laptop out to remind you all.
Rest of the order running through. Drivers heading into Parc Ferme and going through the mandatory checks with the scrutineers. The second heat for IAME Waterswift. It's the rinse and repeat. It'll be at 3:30 for IAME Waterswift. For the juniors and the seniors, they'll be before, of course, 2:50 and 3:10. We've got more racing coming up after this short ad break.
So that was, of course, Waterswift Inter. Now we have Waterswift Restricted. Similar looking karts, similar engines, slightly less power, younger drivers. Even though we're moving on now to Waterswift Restricted, I think a word for Ilyas Sami in that last one. I was watching at the last corner and his chain came off at the last corner. He trundled to a stop about 10 metres before the finish line. So really, really unlucky for Ilyas Sami. Didn't quite finish that one. Not seen a driver that unlucky in a long time. I'm sure he'll bounce back. But anyway, let's look ahead now to, of course, what is Waterswift Restricted. Some of our, well, the youngest drivers this weekend we have in the 2-strokes at least. IAME. Of course, a pretty good grid. One thing I did enjoy seeing ahead of this race was all the drivers basically chilling together in a big group, chatting, watching the previous race. It seems like a really good camaraderie between the young drivers here. Also, a good thing to see is also a lot of privateers. We've got a privateer, Harry Chapman, starting in second place there on the outside, number 32. Privateers further down the field as well. 7th place, Louis William Mabs. And then a big group of privateers towards the back of the top 10. Freddie Baker, Corey Lyons, Patrick Wood, Finley Bedford. So that's a good thing to look out for. Of course, we like a privateer. There's a lot of big teams in the Vera Tools British Kart Championships, and of course here at the IAME O Plate as well. It's always good to see the underdogs go well. Might grab a, how long have we got? How long have we got there? I think we've got more than a minute. So might grab a quick word ahead of the race. Our pole sitter, Albie J Stubbs. Albie, what are you thinking about ahead of this race?
Hopefully I can just get to the front coming out of T2, and then I'll probably defend up to Christmas, and I'm hoping that I can pull away and have a clean race.
Sounds like you've got a plan in your head. I spoke to you just before we went on air, and you said that the mechanic put a good setup on the kart. Are you expecting it to be just the same in this race as well?
Definitely.
Absolutely brilliant to hear from our pole sitter, Albie J Stubbs. He's for the XL Motorsport team. Speaks very well, especially considering he's literally right ahead of the race. And I think we're just about a minute away now. So I reckon I'll have a word with one more driver. I think we've got just about time if we walk down the grid before I get run over. Who shall I pick a word with? The number 14 of Corey Lyons coming over from Ireland. Corey, can we have a quick word ahead of the race? What are you thinking about ahead of this race, Corey?
I think it's good, yeah. I hope I do brilliant. Just get past people at the start and hopefully top 5. So, yeah.
We look forward to that. Corey, good luck to Corey. We better get out of the way because we're about 30 seconds ahead of the race. Waterswift Restricted up next.
IAME Waterswift Restricted. Heat 1 is up next here at Whilton Mill, and Albie J Stubbs has pole position. Harry Chapman alongside on the front row of the grid. Next up, Ralph Martin and Dimitar Uzumov on row 2.
3 of those 4 competed in the Rotax O-Plate. Reggie Chandler on the Falcon kart goes from P5 alongside Bodie Batch. He's the Argenti Academy driver for this category. Louis Williams-Mabs and Ollie West are next.
Next row of the grid, Freddie Baker is joined by Corey Lyons. Patrick Wood and Finley Bedford go from row 6.
Leo Russell, the son of ex-Rotax Grand Finals champion Benji Russell. Theo Tyak next, then Felix Millen-Sexton and Harry Murphy.
Next up on row number 9, we find Felix Booker and Frank Morris. Darcy Dunford goes from row number 10 and is joined by Riley Aston Wilkins.
Now, I was thinking, because with Piers saying that, you know, we could have a feature, Piers Prior's Pick of the Privateers.
Ooh.
Oh, Piers Prior's Pick of the Privateers. Oh, there's number 32.
That's Harry Chapman.
Harry Chapman from the front row of the grid. Oh, dear. Now, a couple of little interesting things. Ralph Martin, there he is. He was the Might E Bambino champion last year, the first ever Motorsport UK British champion in any discipline driving an electric-powered vehicle. Now he has got himself on the front row of the grid by virtue of the fact that that's never a start.
Yeah, okay.
So, moving swiftly on, LBJ Stubbs, Dimitar Uzanov. Uzanov drove fantastically well in parts of the Rotax O-Plate. He's driving for Jason Dredge, the JPD UK team. Reggie Chandler, okay. Crash helmets, watch. Reggie Chandler has, if he's got his new helmet, yes he does. That crash helmet that Reggie Chandler has got is absolute straight fire. It's awesome. I really, really good, intricate, not intricate, detailed, but yet it stands out from a crowd. Corey Lyons, only start, what's that?
Freddie Baker.
Freddie Baker's
newly
great
so
merchandise.
fresh. He had his photos done for a second time yesterday. He's
like
literally fresh out the box today.
Freddie Baker's got some really good merch out in the back, some good sort of stock car style merch, which is good to see. Corey Lyons, young Irishman, only started karting last year. His family's from a rallying background.
Here we go then. Green light is illuminated. We're underway for 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Good start for LBJ Stubbs from the front of the field. Ralph Martin straight up into P2 as well. Oh, there's a problem for the number 11 of Riley Aston Wilkins on the novice plates there. Has had a bit of a spin. Will rejoin the race and continue there in P20.
Well, if you notice, he's on a novice plate.
Yeah.
I mean, being a British Open, it's got, I think, slightly different licence requirements to enter. You know, it's open to all licence holders. So even if you are a novice, and if you're a novice in the UK, you've got to do your first 4 or 5 races, get your licence signed by the race director, and you've got to use black plates, white numbers. Now there is another black plate, white number, much further up at the front. Look at that, the number 82.
92.
92.
That's Baker.
Freddie Baker. Yeah, Freddie Baker, who drove Bambino last year. Should we have a little look at that incident?
Yes.
Let's have a little look back at what we saw the tail end of earlier on. Now, that's actually not, that's the same colour kart, same part of the track, different driver, different lap, different incident. That, sadly, was Theo Tyak coming to grief. Here is the Wera Tools replay of a different angle from turn number 1, and novice driver, adrenaline, first corner, he's slightly offline, doesn't want to run wide, stabs the brakes, bit too hard, rotation continue.
Very
Lesson
easy to do.
Learned.
Very, very easy to do indeed. 8 minutes and 10 seconds of this one to go. Stubbs leads from Martin. Uzanov there in third place. He was very quick yesterday in free practice. Harry Chapman coming back through the field after those problems on the reconnaissance laps. Is here down the inside goes Uzanov into second place past Ralph Martin. Bodie Batch there in fourth place. A lot of these drivers, whilst they are the youngest drivers here in the paddock this weekend on an average of all the ages, a lot of them very experienced already, have raced through the Bambino categories. Bodie Batch, I know, has been racing for a good couple of years already, as such has shown the prowess to be selected for the Argenti Motorsport Academy.
I have an issue. I'm going to take a bit. I'm going to dive straight in. Start of the season. Argenti Academy. I have an issue with you.
Go for it.
I'm going to tell this to Ron Meadows tomorrow because he's coming.
He's in the paddock.
He's in the paddock now. Right, Ron. Listen up. Last year, Chester Forks had some fantastic graphics. They're from Danger UK. Now, and that allowed me to, every time we featured them, for me to go, danger, danger, high voltage. And now I can't do that anymore because he's been signed up by this Argenti Mercedes F1 Academy.
He's just never happy, aren't
No, well, I mean, well, at least I got Reggie Chan now, who's got a matching graphics kit and crash helmet. But, you know,
I like the roundels. The roundels on Reggie's channels almost gives me like a Lorenzo Cordell vibe.
Oh, yeah, that's very good.
Over the years.
Adam from Audrin Henry Racing. I got a feeling he might want to try and arrange an interview with CJ Bennett.
Okay, I'm going to have to wait till later.
I don't know what gives it, maybe a subtle hint of the 77 messages he's put on the live chat. Well, tell CJ he's got to come in the top 3 and then pipe down. LBJ Stubbs leads the race for how much longer? Not much longer, because here comes Dimitar Uzanov to the inside of a Christmas corner, side by side, wheel to wheel. Ralph Martin joins the fun in P3.
Yeah, good stuff there from Uzanov. Clean racing. Saw this a lot in IAME Waterswift Restricted across the course of the 2024 championship. It's good to have a grid of 20 drivers here this weekend. A little bit further down the order, Patrick Woods having a good drive, has gained 4 places so far in this one, up to P7. Talking about novice plates, one driver who's just come off their novice plates is, of course, number 63 of Leo Russell. And yes, if you were wondering, Russell,
Benji
63,
Benji
Russell's boy.
Has he got an uncle?
He has. He's pretty quick. Did some stuff. George, I think.
Never heard of it. Did he do karting? No, actually, this is where George Russell. This is the site of where George Russell won his the 2010 British Cadet Championship, and I know because that was the first race meeting, British Championship race meeting that my son came to. He was one. He was one, and his mother sat in the field out there, very unhappy that I finally managed to drag her to a kart meeting. But yes, that was the day that George Russell won the British Championship with his sprocket hanging off all the sprocket protectors back in 2010. All the stone had got in and was just there, and one curb would have popped the sprocket off, and George Russell would have lost the British Championship to Matthew Graham that weekend.
Would have indeed, but Leo's going well. He's up to P12 in his first race meeting at this level. 4.5 minutes to go. We need to keep an eye on Ralph Martin. Ralph Martin has just done the fastest lap of this race and is looking ready to pounce. Stubbs is still there as well, P2. Uzanov for the JPD UK team, piloting very nicely indeed right now into Ashby Corner. We had a little look at that yesterday from the alternative angle, looking down the hill through the build-up show yesterday. If you didn't catch that, do give that a watch at your leisure on the Karting UK channel. And don't forget, Paddock Show tonight. If you're in the paddock, make sure you stick around after racing completes. We'll come and have a word with you.
Second item for the list, for my complaints list. Whilton Mill, no dogs in the paddock. How can you have Paddock Show pooches when there's no pooches allowed in the paddock? Whilton Mill, sort it out. Just for tonight, thank you.
Well, we've got an inflatable pug at home.
That's fine,
you know.
fine.
Well, missus, because we can't.
But we can't have Piers Prior's Paddock Show pooches then, can we?
Oh yeah.
Deary me, we have to go back.
Opportunities.
Top 3, nose to tail, across the top. Inkermans down towards Ashby. Oh, and there's Dimitar Uzanov. The back end of that barrel is stepping out. It looked glued to the track earlier on. Is the setup beginning to go away just a little bit now? Stubbs and Ralph Martin with 3 minutes to go. There's Reggie Chandler in P4. Bodie Batch up into P5. Corey Lyons is 6th, and Harry Chapman, Freddie Baker, Ollie West, and Patrick Woods. There is the aforementioned Corey Lyons. Oh, and the number 32 of Harry Chapman, who has recovered. Started from the back and is charging forward.
Yeah, this is a good drive from Harry Chapman. I like the call to say, keep building on the experience that he had last year. was the British Bambino champion. Remember that close finale at Warden Law in 2023. So we'll keep an eye on Harry across the course of this year. 2 minutes and 20 remaining. How's Reggie Chandler getting on? It's a bit of no man's land at the moment,
he's
Henry.
sort of all on his own. But considering the only time that Reggie's raced at this level was Kart Masters last year, he stepped up in a really good way. Other driver, Corey Lyons. So, flashback to the last weekend of January, first weekend of February. The Rotax Winter Trophy in Orlando, Florida. Corey Lyons and his dad turn up. You know, thought, hey, why not? We've only just started racing. We got a week off school. We can go to Disney in between the two races. Corey, he didn't trouble the front runners. Should we say that?
It was a learning experience.
He had a fantastic learning experience, but he did not trouble the front runners. And yet here he is, 10 weeks later, or less than 2 months later, he's up in the top 10 and battling aggressively, which shows when the kids of this age, they're like sponges. They just soak up so much.
Do indeed. Martin's been dropped a little bit in the latter stages of this one, so it should be between Uzanov and Stubbs.
And Corey Lyon is learning how to remonstrate like a proper kart racer. One hand on the wheel. Whoa, what's going on, Marshall? Notice me, I'm upset.
1 minute to go on the clock. I think we'll get another lap beyond this one on time, so it should be 3 to go. And Stubbs is starting to apply the pressure now to Uzanov. Uzanov goes to driver's right to make sure that there's no route down the inside for Stubbs. Uzanov nearly loses control. Off and out of the race. There's number 65 of Harry Murphy, one of the privateers who was running P15.
And that will, well, I mean, Patrick Wood, I'm noticing, so very impressive. I think Vera at the Motorsport UK should start having a kart merchandise little shop here, because Patrick Woods has got some great merchandise. You know, Reggie Chandler, he's got those. He gave me a mug last year, but again, these drivers, their families, they're starting to understand about branding. And if we, speaking of branding, they're starting to understand branding, and of course, your brand is everything. Now, one brand that supported this championship from the day it started is motorsport-timing.co.uk. And we can just see the man, the myth, the legend. There he is. Ian Rogers.
He's got his own mug.
He's got his own mug. That's how important he is to the championship. You know you've made it when you got your boat race on a mug. There we go.
So these are the insights that you tune in for, ladies and gentlemen. Time is up, but we're not quite on the final lap yet. There were a few more seconds on the time, and the last time the leaders came round. And I tell you what, Ralph Martin is fighting back here. We shouldn't have written him off. He is right there in third place and has closed the gap once again to less than half a second. Good through the chicane there was Dimitar Uzanov, and that's key because now we're on to the final lap. Uzanov's got a bit of a gap running through Oblivion, past Fine Lady and up towards Christmas Corner. Stubbs has got enough of a charge up the hill to have a go into Christmas Corner. No, not this time around. Still as you were. Uzanov from Stubbs, from Martin. Stubbs has a little look downhill into Ashby Corner. It's very easy to run too deep there. That was near for Uzanov to a mistake. Stubbs keen to get through. Here's another opportunity into Ozius. Martin still there looking for the outside line through Ozius. Great defence from Dimitar Uzanov here, who's got a bit of a gap. That would be a mighty send from back there for LBJ Stubbs into the boot. Not able to do it. It's going to be race victory for Dimitar Uzanov in the first heats for IAME Waterswift Restricted. Stubbs P2 from Ralph Martin. And in the early stages of this O-Plate meeting, Henry, for IAME Waterswift Restricted, I think we've got a class of 3 within that category, shining above the rest. Very good run there from Uzanov, Stubbs and Martin.
And a well done to Jason Dredge, JPD UK. That's the first win in any race at this level for Jason's team. LBJ Subs, Ralph Martin, very, very good indeed. Reggie Chandler, Harry Chapman. Don't forget, he qualified second, started last. Then Bodie Batch, Ollie West, Freddie Baker, Corey Lyons and Louis Williams
on the DAP. Full DAP livery
Patrick
as well.
Wood, Leo Russell, Finley Bedford, who I'm told is from Bedford, which is fantastic. Does he drive a Bedford Rascal? If he put his car in a Bedford Rascal, being from Bedford, with a surname from Bedford, that'd be brilliant. Phoenix Miller Sexton, is he from Phoenix, I wonder?
Maybe
Probably
so.
not.
Probably not.
Darcy Durnford, Felix Booker, Frank Morris, Theo Tyack, Riley Aston Wilkins, and Harry Murphy, sadly, was the only retiree in that class. And, well, we have now seen 4 out of the 5 classes here at the IAME O Plate. But, of course, this event, it is... I know them.
Not very familiar.
I can't believe the director done that to me. The one on the left broke my heart. Go to an advert. How can you do that to a proud man?
You probably know us for our massive cartwear range. We've got everything from suits, boots, gloves and helmets from the biggest brands in the business. But we are so much more than that, because if you're looking for kart parts, well, we've got you covered too. We've got everything from Rotax parts, sprockets and chains, discs and pads, data loggers and dashers, fuel tanks, steering wheels, bead breakers, and loads more. But of course, it doesn't just stop at the track, and if you're looking to build your skills in the sim, then we've got everything you're going to need to build the ultimate rig. So whether you're just getting started or you're already at the top of your game, Demon Tweaks has got you.
The final class is here. Honda GX 200s. Our only 4-stroke karts this weekend, and you might be able to hear over the microphone the gentle hum of the 4-stroke engines. Our pole sitting driver here, Ronnie Jones, you'll be able to, I'll just give you a throttle example. Give me some throttle, Ronnie. Give me some, go on, give me some. There we go, the power of a Honda GX 200. Anyway, we've got a good grid of Hondas here. Great to have the Hondas back again. Going to be very close racing. Looking at quite a lot of Scottish drivers actually in this. We've got 4 Scottish drivers on the grid. And I'm going to grab a word with one of those, which is Luca Bicocchi, the number 77. Luca, can I have a quick word? Luca, what are you thinking ahead of this race?
I'm really excited. I'm going to try and push on and get up there to hopefully a top 5.
Hopefully a top 5 from Luca. And we've got a good group of drivers. Again, a bit like the Waterswift Restricted. When they're younger, they all seem to get on very, very well. I was looking at the drivers huddling together ahead of this race, watching the Waterswift Restricted race. Looking forward to it. The Hondas offer a great alternative in terms of cadets. It's fairly inexpensive. I started my karting in a Honda Cadet, very similar to this, and we've seen a lot of drivers starting Honda Cadets move their way through, and I'm looking forward to seeing the first race of the weekend from the Hondas, and that's up in just a moment's time.
Thank you very much, Piers. Couldn't have put it better myself. There's something about Honda Cadet racing at Whilton Mill that always seems to provide entertainment. We were here just about 12 months ago for the 2024 edition of the Honda Cadet O-Plate, which was won in the end, of course, by Ralphie Branscombe, who then went on to be the British champion as well. But other names who've won in the Honda Cadet category, obviously the former form of Honda Cadet included in here, the likes of Cian Bernard, Kenzo Craigie won this one not that long ago, Noah Wolf as well. They've all gone on to great things in the sport of karting. It just proves what a great bed of talent that this category can be. Good grid of Honda Cadets here, 14 of them competing for the O-Plate. Waiting for the timer to tick over to 2:30 local time here at Whilton Mill. Then they'll receive the instruction to head out on circuit. And once again, it'll be 10 minutes plus 1 lap. Andrew Mather and Henry Beaudette on commentary duties for you this afternoon. Final little bits of preparation being done here by the mechanics. Thumbs up to their respective drivers. Have a quick look there. The number 24 of Reggie Dufficy for Ambition Motorsport. Ambition Motorsport looking for another good result here in Honda Cadet. Have been loyal servants to Honda Cadets for many, many years. Let's get ready for it. Heat 1, Honda Cadet GX 200 is next. Let's take you through the runners then for Heat 1 in Honda Cadet. Ronnie Jones starts on pole position, is joined on the front row by Shailen Srikantan. Elliot Bourke and Luke McGall. Very strong run last year in this event for Luke McGall. They're on row 2. Harry Grant is back as well, as is Jayan Prakash. They're both on row number 3. Luca Bicocchi is back as well in British Kart Championships action. We saw him at Lark Hall last year and is joined by a fellow Scot on row number 4, Archie Cannon, who was in the top 10 12 months ago. Jerry Dufficy and Harry Search, they form out the top 10. They're on row 5, ahead of Oliver Ratton and Reggie Dufficy on row number 6. Kyle Kerr and Aidan Donnelly complete the 14-strong field. So, formation lap underway for our Honda Cadets. And I say, a reminder of that result from 12 months ago. After some post-race penalties, which meant one of the drivers towards the front of the order actually came a little bit further down. Branscombe was your winner. Luke McGall was second in the O-plates last year. Ed Spain, Ryan White, Margus Kvetskis, we've already seen today, has moved up the classes. That was your top 5. Kevin Ivanov had a very good weekend, but unfortunately a time penalty dropped into 6th in the final result. Archie Cannon is on a lettered plate. He's on the S plate, of course.
Yes.
For the
Scottish
Super Series winner there. P7 in this race, or this meeting I should say, last year, so do keep an eye on Archie Cannon. Harry Grant as well. I had a great chat with Harry yesterday during the build-up show. Learnt a lot across the course of the year.
Yes.
Now is kicking on, wants a top 5 here this weekend, Henry.
Yes, and of course this is the smallest grid. However, if you think back to last year's O-Plate, it was possibly one of the best races, -1 senior road tax overtake that the whole world remembers. But the lights are out and we are off and racing. What can our 4-strokes dish up for us? Their first course of the weekend through Oblivion, up through Fine Lady, and now towards Christmas Corner. And momentum is key. You know, you've got torque, but you haven't got the top end. So you've got to be smooth. You've got to be smooth as possible. Sideways is not, it's spectacular, but it's not fast in one of these karts.
And it's often said about Wilton Miller's, nice move there from Srikantan down the inside to take the lead in the early stages of this first heat for Honda Cadet. At Wilton Mill, in the old form and in the new form of Honda Cadet, it is very, very tricky for a race leader to break away, even with the altered chicane at the end of the circuit as well. These races, if you're new to Honda Cadet, it's about keeping yourself in play, keeping yourself in that top pack, looking to strike later on. And we've still got the best part of 9 minutes of this race to go. Warning flag for Harry Search in the number 40. Harry currently in P9, but it's a group of 4 at the front of the field. Srikantan in the number 23, Ronnie Jones there in the number 70 in the black and gold helmet, the number 14 of Elliot Bourke, who was another runner in the top 10 of this this race 12 months ago, there in 3rd. Luke McGall 4th. And I tell you what, Henry, absolutely great to see a driver we talked a lot about in 2024 about he's getting quicker. He's getting quicker. He's 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds off the ultimate pace. Look at Jayan Prakash there.
Yes.
In the top 5 now in Honda Cadet.
Exactly. You know, you say the off-season. Well, there is no off-season really, because once the British Championship finishes, these drivers, they do their club championships. You know, there's an event at PFI the first weekend of January. There's events, you know, they have maybe 2 weeks off over Christmas. And testing. And again, so these drivers, the off-season, they go to work. And there's a bit of a bouncy from Ronnie Jones, the number 70 kart, giving you testing the lack of suspension on his Honda Cadet there. But Archie Cannon, that Zip kart, Earl and the team at Zip doing a great job. And Archie Cannon, again, he was I think he was 10th. No, he was 6th. He had a number last year as well. He is a nationally ranked driver, but he is using the S plate for the Scottish Super Series. is a nationally recognised plate, as is the GP and the O. And I noticed that Ralphie Branscombe is watching directly above our commentary position from outside the restaurant here at Wilton Mill, looking at his former classmates. And yeah, hey, do you know something? I mean, he does have his. So Ralphie is out in the next race. So oh dear, there's the number 27. That is Aidan Donnelly out of the race. And I say, Ralphie would be a great person to have in on commentary of one of these Honda races, but unfortunately, he's getting in his go-kart at the moment to go out in Junior X30. Yes. The thought was there, because no one would know better how to drive one of these Hondas than the current, well, he's going to be in 25 hours, he will no longer be the current British O-Plate Honda Cadet champion, Ralphie Branscombe. One of these 14 drivers will be, and it is Shailen Srikantan in the number 23 car, leading with Elliot Bork in the number 14, looking to the inside. Oh, and squeezing Srikantan. Why? But Srikantan, oh, that's Roddy Jones coming back in it, and look at Srikantan back to fourth already. And it's another Ayrton Senna replica crash helmet in the form of the number, is that the number, oh, who is that with the Ayrton Senna crash helmet? Now it's a P2. It is the number 15 of Luke McGall for the JMR race team.
And that was a good example of Honda Cadet racing around here, and what we're talking about of keep yourself in the main battle group at the front. You can let the race come to you. It's no problem with 2 laps to go being fifth in a group of 5. Down the inside there goes number 14 of Elliot Bork. Oh, Luke McGall has to get a bit of oppo on there to keep control of the number 15. And this is bringing others into play. This is bringing Prakash and Cannon into the mix. A top 6 at the head of this field. Good run so far from Luca Bicocchi, another one of the Ambition Motorsport drivers in the number 77. As I say, had a run out at Lark Hall last year. A little bit of a dip of the toe into the water for British Kart Championship competition. And we will be going back to Lark Hall later on in the summer for Honda Cadet, Warden Law, PF International, and then back here to Wilton Mill, the 4 venues for this year's Vera Tools British Kart Championships calendar.
Yeah, now, JM Prakash, driving for Ambition Motorsports. Last weekend, and I mean, I was at Warden Law last weekend, but you know, a lot of the paddock here won't know this. Talk about, you know, things that are good in karting.
Yeah.
Well, there are certain things that are bad in karting. One thing that was bad in karting was a young lad called Jens. Oh, and that's bad. That is Kyle Kerr out of the race. But young lad, Jensen Fathers, from down in Hoddesdon, Rye House, races at Rye House. Oh, and that may be the reason why Kyle Kerr is out of the race. Oh, an errant wheel that is no longer attached to its wagon. But yeah, Jensen Fathers and his dad, whose birthday it was, the Friday before Warden Law, hired a trailer, drove their Honda Cadet kart up to a Premier Inn in Pontefract, went to bed on the Friday night, woke up Saturday morning thinking, right, Jensen, big day, it's your first time ever racing away from Rye House, your first time ever at a national level race meeting, and the wagon had been stolen with all his equipment in it. Distraught father, devastated child, they turn up the circuit. Paul Janes and the Ambition Motorsport team would instantly get a cart out the van, bang, there you go, you're racing. Yep. The Tornado engine, they put an engine down for him. Fantastic. The other good things about karting is that, yeah, word hit the grapevine that there was probably a stolen Honda Cadet and a Honda Cadet engine floating about. And of course, the absolute idiots that stole it decided to go and try and take the cart to a local engine builder saying, do you want this? You know, and lo and behold, on Sunday morning, Jensen had his go-kart badge. But he was allowed to race it. Dan Ashton allowed him to re-scrutineer his own kart. The whole paddock were like, fine, yeah, this is more important. More important than, you know, what was on a scrutineering card on Friday. But I have to say, Paul James, the Ambition Motorsport team, they, Jensen's father said to me, he was, I want to thank the entire karting paddock for helping. But he said that Paul and the Ambition team, they went out of their way to make sure that a young lad, heartbroken lad, was able to race a kart, not his, but his kart, a kart, and that's something I should mention.
No, it's good to note that. It's what Ambition Motorsport as a team are all about, and what they've been about for many years.
The good thing is about Paul James, it was actually his Honda Cadet kart, because he's so small he can still fit in one. There we go, Paul, how's that?
That's why he's such a good teacher.
There's Archie Cannon, elbows out, but settles back into fourth. So that little digression away from the action, sometimes, there are things that happen that are a bit more important than just talking about, what you're seeing on the screen, and that was one of them. And it gave me a chance to just make fun of Paul a little bit.
60 seconds of this one to go, plus 1 lap. Still Ronnie Jones, who's led this one pretty well and done the thing that you often don't see here at Whilton Mill. He has broken away from the rest of the field and has now got a bit of a buffer over the rest with time ticking away. Elliot Bork P2, Shaylin Srikatan there in 3rd place. Archie Cannon, fastest driver on the circuit at 53.71. He's just lost out on 4th place to Luke McGall, but Luke McGall once again showing the kind of pace that we saw last year. They've swapped back again. Cannon now back ahead of Luke McGall. Jayan Prakash still there in 6th place.
And I'm just it sounds, please don't think I'm being disrespectful, but I'm waiting for Jayan Prakash to drop off. And it's not happening.
No.
It's not happening. That is how much that young lad has improved from being, a second off the back of the field. At the end of last year, he's not only got the pace over 1 lap, he's got the pace over a full race distance, as he is proving. This could be one of the most important 6 places of that young man's life there, because do you know what this tells you? Whatever doubts you had, whatever things you worried about, when the pressure is on, you can do it. And that is so important for drivers, making the drivers believe they can do it.
On the final lap then, Ronnie Jones looks to have this one secured. He's 1.5 seconds clear, but it's still not decided for 2nd place. Elliot Bork has a little check over the shoulder to see where Srikatan is as they head into the boot for the final time. He's going to stay as you were. There's been a change for 8th place, which we'll catch up with in a moment. Ronnie Jones wins the first heat in Honda Cadet. Elliot Bork P2. Shaylin Srikatan for MJR 3rd. It's an MJR 1-3. Archie Cannon up 4 places in that race, finishes in P4. Luke McGall completes the top 5. Jayan Prakash in 6th place. A really good run there for Jayan ahead of Harry Search. Luca Picocchi got 8th place on that last lap there ahead of Harry Grant. Jerry Dufficy completes the top 10.
And a heat race it may be, but the Ronnie Jones family were ecstatic. Hugs all round, which is great to see at the start of the season. So, the Duffacys, the 2 Irishman, the brothers, Jerry Dufficy cracking the top 10. Luca Picocchi. Picocchi or Picocchi?
Picocchi. That's what he said last year to me at Lark Hall.
Oh, Picocchi in 8th position. Oliver Ratton, Reggie Dufficy, sadly Kyle Kurt and Aidan Donnelly failing to finish. Now we have seen Eric. There is there is the it's the iPhone of Doom. That is
other phones of Doom are available.
Mr. Dave. This is Dave.
No.
Jayan. The first. Now, why do we call it the iPhone of Doom? Because that phone now has a photograph of a nose cone bracket that has been pushed in, and Jayan will receive a 5-second penalty. The rest of the drivers nervously wait to be judged by the iPhone of Doom, but while they wait, we will hear from some of our partners.
Back down on the dummy grid once again, ready for the first race of the second round of heats. Junior X30 once again. We saw a brilliant race in that first Junior X30 one. Always good to watch in the juniors. And we're looking forward to another one. Grid's looking very much similar, of course, from last time. Finley Lines on pole position, George Edgar second place. It was a good race between those two first time out. And we've got a couple of minutes for the start of the race, so I'm hoping I can grab a word with a couple of the drivers. And we'll start with our driver on pole position. That is Finley Lines, making the step up from inters to juniors this season and doing a very good job of that indeed, of course. Getting on pole position. I'll just squeeze on in here. Finley Lines always easy to spot with his luminescent green helmet. Finley, can I come in and have a quick word? Finley, pole position. You must be pretty happy, of course, moving up from inters to juniors. It's not been an easy transition for you, has it?
Nah, we've struggled over the past few weekends, but to be pole, it's a really good opportunity to do well this weekend.
Absolutely, and starting on pole position, that must be the best opportunity possible for you. I suppose your only hope is go out there and get that O plate?
Hopefully, yeah.
Absolutely. Finley Lines, our pole position driver there, and George Edgar starting alongside him in this one. George, can we have a quick word ahead of the race? George, on the front row of the grid, of course we saw the racing was pretty tight in that first one. What are you expecting from this second heat of the weekend?
Yeah, I think I've kind of got away with it in the first heat as me, Finley and Henry Carter managed to get a gap at the start, but if it wasn't for that it would have been a big battle, but I think the others will be able to stay with us in this one, so I think it'll be a close one.
Amazing. George Edgar for Mick Barrett Racing starting in second position. You can look out for the number 6 there. One of our seeded drivers, of course, George joined us in Junior X30 last season. Still a very, very slight young man, and he's, I'm sure, going to grow both as a driver and as a person. As they get stronger and bigger, the drivers, they can manhandle the karts much better, which is actually impressive that, you know, young, small drivers like George can still go around there. And Finley Lines, of course, starting on pole position. One of the other seeded drivers, our number 2, Riley Cranham, was one of the drivers I was surprised. Here he is. Starting in, if I can use my eyes properly, Riley Cranham starting in 9th position in the inside of the 5th row of the grid. Would have expected him to be higher up. Number 2 seeded Kart means that he finished second in the British Champs last year. Speaking to Lewis, his mechanic just beside him there ahead of this race, the Fusion team seems to be lacking a little bit of pace this weekend, which is very much unlike the Fusion team. They're trying a couple of different things in the setup. He did tell me one of the things he was trying, but I won't share that with of course, the whole live stream because that's very, very secret information. Moving further down the grid, of course, we've got some different teams here. Love the Optima Performance kart there with the white, pink and dark blue. That is the 11th place driver. No, that is not the 11th place driver. That's the 13th place driver of Charlie Myers. And I might grab a quick word with Charlie, actually, if that's all right. Charlie, can we have a quick word? Stay there. It's okay. It's all good. Charlie, how's the weekend been going for you so far?
Not the best, I don't think, because I'm a bit ill right now and I don't have the physical strength to put anything together. The start seems to be all right last race, but that was really it.
Well, Charlie, we've got a minute before the race, so I'll let you jump in the car. It's interesting to hear from Charlie that, of course, a little bit of physical illness means that it's hard physically for him to finish the races out there. Good effort from him to keep going, and it is a very, very physical around this Whilton Mill circuit. Very bumpy, high grip around here, especially that last sector. We've spoken about it before, and also keep an eye out for those flip-flops that get hit. Of course, drivers do that too many times, they might be looking at a penalty. But we've got Junior X30 Heat 2 coming up in just a moment's time.
Thank you very much, Piers. Key one this, second heat of the day for the juniors. Let's take you through the grid. Finley Lines starts on pole position. George Edgar alongside on the front row. Henry Carter had a good first race. And we'll go from row 2. He's joined by Rocco Lane Shenton.
On row number 3, Singapore's Isaac Sear and Archie Owen. Aaron Richardson and Nat Johnson are next.
Riley Cranham and Ethan Woodward complete the top 10. Harley Musk and Sam Woolley will go from row 6.
An ill Charlie Myers and Zach McDonald on row number 7. Ty Buckley, he was fast in heat number 1, and Max Endicott on row number 8.
On row 9, we find Jacob Marples and Cameron Edmonds. Ralphie Branscombe and Freddie Wood complete the top 20.
Harry Myers and João Castro, Baron Altonsoy and Max Wright are next.
Finley Allen and Oliver Meek, 25th, 26th. So Commander Kira had a good first race, goes from P27 in this one, is joined by Mayan Patel, who also had a tremendous drive through the field earlier on today. Zach Starbuck and John Foley Jr. completes the 30 runners in Heat 2 for Junior X30.
And just, I wanted to say a big congratulations. With the background of the Piers Prior's paddock pit pre-race interview, we saw Joe Bullen and the latest arrival. So congratulations, Joe and baby Bullen. And obviously Mrs. Bullen as well, who probably did most of the work. But yeah, congratulations, well done. And it's fantastic to see you in the paddock. I hope all is well. Joe.
Into the tram lines. Second heat for Junior X30 is lights out and away for 10 minutes plus 1 lap, and it's a lightning start for Finley Lines and also Henry Carter on the second row. Carter's having a look but thinks better of it. Dives back into second place. George Edgar coming around the outside, and there's trouble in Christmas Corner for several drivers there. A couple of fusions involved. Finley Lines again having to defend from Henry Carter down into Ashby Corner this time, and crucially Henry Carter has now got a better second phase of lap number 1. It was at this point where it all went a little bit awry for him in heat number 1. He's still there, still challenging for the lead.
And as he goes into the boot, he's looking for an even better second phase of lap number 1, because he is trying to get the inside of Finley Lines coming out of paddock as they complete lap number 1. Now, going back to the earlier incident at Christmas Corner, let's have a look back, because it was Harley Must in the number 23 cart that takes the grass. Now, no real contact there, but at the back of the field, 3 drivers were basically taking evasive action. They sort of predicted, cart on grass, cart's going to come back on in front of the pack, so we're going to just exit stage left temporarily. But remarkably, everybody continues with the unfortunate absence of Harry Myers for the Optima Performance team. So one Myers brother in the race but under the weather, and the other Myers brother out of the race.
The drivers who...
Art.
Second Art.
Sorry.
Other drivers who were in trouble on that first lap, Henry, I think we have Jacob Marples, the number 28, Oliver Meek, the number 67, Baron Alton-Soy, the number 40, and Finley Allen in the 94. They're all moving through. Change. Will the real Riley Cranham please stand up? He had a very good start to free practice. Qualifying wasn't quite his bag today. The first half of Heat 1 was similarly not really what he ordered. He's back, Henry, the runner-up from last year's championship. That was a good move on Finley Lines. Is up to P3.
Yes, indeed. There's Joao Castro on the Praga. Oh, he's having a little look at the inside. Praga overtakes the Kart headline. And Joao Castro makes the move. Ralphie Branscombe in the number 96 is... there is the rather second-hand looking kart of Harry Myers, which would explain why he is no longer in the race. Back up to the front. Now, the Edgar family. George Edgar, I believe, has won a couple of Cadet O-plates. Johnny Edgar was an O-plate king. They did have quite a few O-plates up at Rowra back when Johnny was racing Cadets, which, but still. The Edgar family, it's really strange. George and Johnny never won a GP plate, but O-plates, there's the Edgar family name is plastered all over some of the perpetual O-plate trophies in British karting. And certainly George has started, where is George at the moment? He has...
He's fallen down a little bit.
Fallen down the order. No, is that...
P11.
Yeah, P11. I'm not quite sure. He's now battling with Charlie Myers, who, if there's anything that is going to sort of give you a little bit of extra boost if you're not feeling too well, is chasing down a nationally seeded driver. That'll help. Zach Starbuck has gained a lot of places again. Zach Starbuck up 15 places from 29th to 14th. Sukhmani Kira up 9 places to 18th. And of course, she finished her Waterswift career with a fantastic second place finish at Three Sisters with a puncture. Yes.
Had a pretty good run a few weeks ago at the IAME Winter Cup, first big race in X30 Junior competition. Nat Johnston, new fastest lap of the race. We need to keep an eye on across the course this weekend. We also need to keep an eye on Rocco Leon Shenton for moves like that down the inside of Henry Carter to take the lead of this one. Riley Cranham there as well in P3. Shenton and Cranham had a good old ding-dong the last time we saw them in Vera Tool's British Kart Championships action. That was the season finale at Three Sisters in the autumn.
Yep.
They saw a little run through the first part of the boot. Cranham was having a look to see if there was an opportunity down the inside into the second part of the boot. Not that time around. Still 5 minutes of this one to go. Key lap this, I feel, Henry, for Rocco Leon Shenton to see if he can just gap Henry Carter enough to fend off the eventual attack you would think would come in from Riley Cranham.
Yeah, so context time, ladies and gentlemen. Rocco Leon Shenton, last year at Three Sisters, I believe he won on the track one of the Junior X30 finals, which in Junior X30, as a privateer, winning any race is huge. Then exclusion, wrong keyway or wrong type of keyway in the axle, something like that. Devastated. Rocco is built different. He's always run as a privateer because, and sometimes privateers, they have this us versus the world mentality. And Rocco does have that. Sometimes that can be a negative. Rocco doesn't, he uses that as a positive because he knows he's got no teammates. He knows he's against the odds. He's the underdog. He shouldn't be there. And yet he is. But yet he doesn't necessarily get angry. And when you drive angry, then you make mistakes.
Yep.
Rocco doesn't do it. He's got the us versus the world mentality, but he's channeled it into a positive way. There we go. Instead of kicking off because he's been passed, hand on his... Oh, yeah. Not everyone else listens all the time, but yeah, he would say, okay, I've been passed, let's think. There was no anger there. It was, okay, calm, think, go. Riley Cranham didn't quite agree with him. Another little chew on his rear bumper going through there. Now, that's, you could almost pick the wax out of his ears, ladies and gentlemen. That was such a tight shot.
Make a candle out of that.
Oh.
3 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock to go. Cranham down the inside of Shenton. Has he run too deep on the exit of Ashby Corner? Yes, he has. And that's allowed Finley Lines back through into third place. Good heads-up racing there from Finley Lines. Didn't go on full attack mode into Ashby Corner and picks up one of the easiest overtakes that he'll do this weekend. Aaron Richardson's there as well, the second of those fusions, the orange and blue colours, the number 52 in fifth place. Archie Owens having another decent run as well, hoping for a bit of a battle right ahead of him to pull himself back into the discussion for the top five, but it's still Henry Carter leading here for crop promotion, and together come Lines and Cranham. Richardson with nowhere to go as well. Lines back on track, but it's fallen a long way down now. Through goes Ty Buckley. That is not a moment that Finley Lines would like to see.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if that was Richardson into Cranham and Cranham into Lines, or whether it was Cranham making a move and Lines closing the door. Now, while we're looking at the last 2 minutes, Andrew Mather, please tell me, who is the best, who makes the best curtain blinds in all of England?
Oh, I think it's got to be Finley Lines.
No, it's got to be Kathy Watson.
Oh, of course.
Kathy Watson is one of England's best blind makers, you know, of curtains and carpets. And she's doing a fantastic job, and she's asked me to say hello to John and Shay Watson. But see, Andrew, now you know, if you need to go get any blinds, curtains, or any form of house-based upholstery, and you will, because you're moving house, Kathy Watson's your girl.
I thought it was a hair joke. Anyway, moving on.
No, there's no joke. Oh, Archie Owen. Oh, what has gone wrong with Archie Owen?
Could be a chain. You often see chain issues here at Whilton. Maybe not. It's not a locked rear axle. There's still some motion in those bearings. 1 minute to go, meanwhile, as here is a fight. Ty Buckley coming through the order in the number 51 with a bit of help from teammate George Edgar behind. They've dispatched of Aaron Richardson there for 6th place. Riley Cranham still running ahead of him. Oh, there's a bit of teammate action. George Edgar dives down the inside of Ty Buckley to take position 6 away from his teammate. That was a bold move from George Edgar.
Yes, full send. Now, let's have a little look back at the incident. Because Finney Lyons now recovering, but do you know, that having the multi-angle replays that we do have here now with Alpha Live, that tells a very different story. That tells a story of Finney Lyons trying to make a move, braking and turning very, very sharply, and just sort of catching Riley Cranham out. Well, from the one camera angle, the main one, that looks like one situation, and the other angle looks like a very different situation, which I love that. So all credit to the crew for the multi-angle. And here's something that makes me feel old. John Lee is just checking his, it would have been his RAC karting license from 1968 and asking what classes are in karting. Do you know what, John? The only class that still exists in karting today that existed back in 1968 is 210 National.
Yes.
210 National. Everything else is different.
Zach Starbuck, a new fastest lap of the race, of 46.52, but we've got a battle for the lead on the final lap. Henry Carter goes to the middle of the road through Ashby Corner. Has it run too deep? Oh, controls that well on the exit of Ashby Corner. Rocco Lane Shenton is right there. Good covering of the middle of the road again by Henry Carter. Next opportunity for Shenton into the boot, but you've got to get things done earlier through this new form of boot in the mid-2020s. It's going to be Carter who takes the win as long as he can get off the final corner well, which he does. Henry Carter takes Heat 2, and with it, the lead in the intermediate classification. As things stand, Henry Carter will be on pole position for Sunday morning's Super Heat.
Good show of sportsmanship there between Carter and Shenton. And Rocco Shenton should be very proud. Of course, this is all provisional. Henry Carter is provisionally your points leader. Isaac Sayer, so from Singapore, learned his lesson very quickly from race number 1. 12th in race number 1 and got beaten up a little bit. But now has learnt, okay, he went to the special elbow sharpening clinic before race number 2 and comes away with a solid 3rd place. Nat Johnston, 4th. Riley Cranham, George Edgar, Ty Buckley and Finney Lyons. Well, there's 4 potential winners there. Aaron Richardson as well. Oh, Aaron is there or thereabouts after the heats. Consistency is going to be his friend rather than outright pace. Cameron Edmonds is rounding out the top 10 in heat number 2.
Rest of the order then, Zach Starbuck, brilliant drive up 18 places to P11. Sam Woolley, it's been a difficult day for Sam Woolley. I don't think he'll be happy with the results across the course of this afternoon. P12. Charlie Myers, P13, a battling drive there whilst he's under the weather. Mayan Patel, keep an eye on Patel tomorrow. P14, a gain of 14 in that one. That kart can overtake round this place.
Mayan did take a national seed last year. He was 10th. But he's not using his national ranking. He's staying with his preferred number 20, which is what he used last year as well. And this is very un-Junior X30 like, because there's our first customer for the iPhone of Doom. Dave Hillary, click. And that, unfortunately, well, if Charlie Myers is probably thinking, I'm not feeling very well, I made it at the end of the race, and then I now feel a bit worse because I got a nose cone. But yeah, it's very un-Junior X30 like, no nose cone, very few nose cones. Zach McDonald. Halt. Your nose cone is broken. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in the second half of today's heat races. Let's catch up with a few more of our sponsors. We'll be back shortly.
Back with us here at Whilton Mill. We've just seen the completion of heat number 2 for Junior X30. More action coming up. The seniors will be out shortly.
Here at Demon Tweaks, you probably know us for our massive kartwear range. We've got everything from suits, boots, gloves and helmets from the biggest brands in the business. But we are so much more than that, because if you're looking for kart parts, well, we've got you covered too. We've got everything from Rotax parts, sprockets and chains, discs and pads, data loggers and dashers, fuel tanks, steering wheels, bead breakers, and loads more. But of course, it doesn't just stop at the track, and if you're looking to build your skills in the sim, then we've got everything you're gonna need to build the ultimate rig. So whether you're just getting started or you're already at the top of your game, Demon Tweaks has got you.
Yes, we're back on the grid once again, as Henry coined the Piers Prior pit lane park Ferme pundit interviews and stuff. Anyway, thank you very much to Demon Tweaks for that advert. If you are starting the season and need some race gear, of course, head over to their website or see them in person and get any race gear or racing-related, car-related paraphernalia that you need. Anyway, looking ahead now, the second round of Senior X30. We saw things ramped up a little bit, definitely, in that second Junior X30 race. And I think that's the way that things are going to go. Race on race, people are going to start getting settled in. They're going to figure out where the pace is. They're going to figure out their main opportunities for overtaking. And also, the closer things get to the final, the more needs to get done if you're not towards the front of that field. And I think Senior X30 is going to be very much the same. Fairly well behaved in that first race. A few penalties. Harrison Whittaker, most notably, out of the top 5 with a penalty down to 7th place. Samuel Branston as well at a penalty, and a few others further down the field. Catching up with a few of the drivers after that first heat. Seems like that these Comet yellows, which they run in Senior X30 now, once the first heat cycle or so is out of the way, there's not too much tyre degradation, so we shouldn't be looking at drivers tyre saving a huge amount. So good to hear from the Comet drivers, because we want a consistent tyre. Who was I going to speak to? I was going to speak to a couple of the drivers on the grid, because I think we've got a couple of minutes. Let's move towards the front of the field and grab a word with some drivers at the front. I spoke to Cian Geraghty after that previous one, and Cian, of course, starting on pole position, so why not grab a word with him? He was actually struggling a little bit with pace. He spoke to me when I spoke to him yesterday. Cian, I'll let you get your helmet on first, and we'll speak to you in a moment. Our pole sitter, Cian Geraghty, of course, the Kart Masters Grand Prix winner from last season. Cian, we spoke to you yesterday at some point, and you said you were struggling a little bit with pace, but clearly you found it for qualifying. How is it, moving from qualifying into the race? You still think you've got the opportunity and the pace to take it to the rest of them?
Yeah, we found the pace when it mattered. I think we lacked a little bit in that first heat then, but a few changes now. See if we can find a bit more just to try and stay at the front. It's a long weekend. I think just keep chipping away and we'll be there for the final.
Major changes, minor things?
No, just minor. We're not lacking like anything big. It's just a few small tweaks to try and get the most out of it, really.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to seeing how those changes get on. Cian Geraghty, our pole sitter in the GP plate there. Alongside me, Fred Green. Let's grab a quick word with Fred, actually, if we can. Fred, starting on the outside of row number 1. Fred, come this side for me. I've only got short arms. Fred, I mentioned ahead of the first race that you weren't here on Friday. You were driving a car at Silverstone, back again this weekend, but you jumped straight in and had the pace straight away.
Yeah, I've done a fair few laps around here in the winter. I've done all the club races and managed to win them all. So yeah, I've done a fair few laps. So.
Not a bad run of results around here. I assume you're going to do everything you can to keep that run going.
Yeah, exactly. Try and win as many races as possible, but all eyes on the O-plate. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you've got 1 minute, so I'll let you get ready ahead of the grid. We'll just go towards the exit of the grid. I don't think we're going to get a chance to speak to any more drivers, but I'm going to point out a couple of people to look out for in this one. We've saw Harrison Mackie, of course, last year's junior champion there, the number 23, further down the field in qualifying than he would have liked. He made it up just about inside the top 10, finished in 10th place in that last one, no, 9th place in that last one after penalties. So a decent result for him, looking to come through. And then, of course, I think we've got a lot of other drivers that are going to get absolutely stuck in. Seniors is always great to watch, and that's coming up in just a few moments' time.
Thank you very much, Piers. Ready for Heat 2 in Senior X30. Let's take you through the grid for this one. On pole position, Cian Geraghty is joined on the front row of the grid by Fred Green. Jack Buckley and Harrison Whittaker go from row number 2.
Row number 3 sees Lewis Bird and Gabriel Stilt, while row 4, Samuel Branson and Ireland's Morgan Moore.
Completing the top 10 on row 5, it's Sam Lewis and Rayan Dharma Dasa. Oliver Rance and Alistair Cresswell, they're on row 6.
Damadasa, what has he learned from race number 1? Jensen Pugh and Micah Taylor, Theo Lestrange and Tristan Powell are next.
In the midfield, Rylan Ekberg and Harrison Mackie go from row number 9. CJ Bennett and Spencer Braun, they're on row 10.
Laith Khan and George Quartermain, row 11. Max Cooper and Luca Mann.
Harrison Morrow and Oliver Harris can be found on row 13 ahead of Harvey Roth and Jack Dan on row 14. It's a 30-strong field completed by TWM's Henry Ryan and the privateer Molly Pugh.
So, following on very briefly from the Rocco Shenton winning a Junior X30 final as a privateer and getting excluded, that meant that Rylan Ashberg remains the only Junior X30 driver to win a final as a privateer in the modern history of the series. That's a false start because they were going a million miles an hour. And that will not impress the race director. So, yeah, Rylan Ashberg remains the only driver in the modern era to win a Junior X30 British Championship final as a privateer. He's now a senior, so Rocco has got one more year of being a junior to try and break Rylan's record. Now, Harvey Roth is, according to some,
yes,
the greatest driver to ever sit behind the wheel of a go-kart. Some.
Yeah, he's definitely in the discussion.
In the yeah. Terry Fullerton, Fullerton, Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton,
Harvey Roth.
Harvey Roth.
Yeah.
I see you. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, ladies and gentlemen. He has got a fantastic victory celebration photo, which we're not going to use until he wins a race. It's going to be some time.
We have to write a risk assessment. Yeah. Anyway, heat number 2, Senior X30 is go. 10 minutes plus 1 lap underway. Very aggressive start from Cian Geraghty to make sure that he held on to the race lead. No chance there for Fred Green to pip him from P2 into Christmas for the first time. You can feel the tension rising. There's a lot more moves in the middle of the pack. Everybody's pretty much got through the first couple of corners. It's a good start for Jack Buckley as well. We said keep an eye on the Mick Barrett Racing entries here this weekend. That's another good start for one of them. But Fred Green fights back, retakes second place. Harrison Whitacombe has also had a bright start. He's there in 4th.
Now, earlier on, I mean, because you're seeing some very, very aggressive moves going on back in the pack. Earlier on, Andrew, you mentioned that, there are no repechages. There's everyone here in the entire paddock will make the main event on Sunday. And that was a case of a little bit of calmness in race number 1. But of course, just because you know you're in the final doesn't mean that you're not going to try and get as far up the grid to the final as possible. And that's why you're seeing the aggression level. It hasn't been turned up quite yet to 11. We'll save that for the Super Heat tomorrow. But it is approaching loud.
It's gone up to like a 7 on the toaster.
It's a 7 on the... It's not quite This Is Spinal Tap yet. Yeah. On the base. On the base.
But no, the drivers know from whatever they did in the first heat, it's about holding position or just getting themselves a bit further up that intermediate classification order. Remember, the Super Heats tomorrow are double points races as well, so it won't be completely done for deciding the grid at the end of today. But the weighting of these 2 heats set the grid for those Super Heats tomorrow morning. You do not want to be leaving yourself with too much to do when we kick off. You will be able to watch all of those races live here, brought to you by Alpha Live. Nice move there by the number 48 of Micah Taylor. Micah stepping into the British Kart Championships for at least the first time in a while. That was a good move there.
Yeah, he's driving a Crop chassis, but he's driving for the Crop Promotions team, but with a different graphics kit. That was, that caught my eye as well there. Yeah, good, solid move there from Micah Taylor. It's only for... it's 4th, 10th position, only 4th, 10th position. Now, CJ Bennett fans, of which there are many of you, have we got a treat for you? But stay tuned, we'll tell you about it a little bit later. Back to the action at the front. Harrison Morrow has gained a couple of places, up to P26. And this is looking tasty. That is the number 12. And Number 23, Harrison Mackie, is getting, well, you go from the big dog in the junior yard to the baby in the big boys playground. And Harrison Mackie was just there getting shown the outside line, shall we say.
He was saying to me yesterday during the build-up show that he doesn't think this is his best circuit. So, you know, if we don't see Mackie up in the top 5 this weekend, I don't think that's a particular concern for later in the season. That's all getting a little bit far too rough and tumble.
I think that well, I would say that the number 88 Kart of Tristan Powell has had a brake failure.
Yeah.
Because there were certainly no brakes being applied.
And it's not a nice point of the circuit to have
I mean, I hope for his sake he was having a brake failure there, because otherwise that was naughty. But, you know, he's out. And he's, that was a brake failure, not a driver failure. The poor so-and-so that he shoveled off in front of him was probably, you know, a little bit upset with him at the moment. We'll look back and realise, oh, okay, if it wasn't for me, then that cart would have carried on going up the bank.
And we have, well, I've seen carts get very high up that bank in previous times. So, well, yes, Spencer Braun won't be particularly happy that he's down to P25, but he has saved a bit of a situation there. 5.5 minutes of this one to go. Cian Gerrit is still in the lead of this race, but it was this point of heat number 1 where the crop promotion runners really started to get into their stride. Will we see a similar performance from Fred Green? He had a quick sight there of Lewis Bird just ahead of Sammy Branston. That is the battle for P6.
We're getting to the time of the race where, if you cast your mind back to heat number 1, this is where Gerrit, for maybe a lap or two, suddenly just dropped off. The pace wasn't quite there. Fred Green just posted in fastest lap of the race. So, are we going to see a similar situation to what happened earlier on? There's another move. Oh, and that is, well, Ryan Ashberg hangs on to it. That was Rian Dharmadasa. We said he needed to, like, he's learning about aggression levels, and, you know, a slight misjudgment there from Rian, who's doing a very good job. Now, of course, he qualified 10th, dropped to 16th. He is still he's running 11th here, but there is a traffic jam behind him, and there's 4 minutes to go. He's just, I mean, I commentate on Rian out, you know, in Oman, in the United Arab Emirates. There is nowhere where the surface is anywhere approaching this bumpy as in Rian's part of the world. So he is not only learning about the aggression levels, but he has come to one of the most physically demanding tracks. And he's moved into seniors, because he was a junior just a year ago, at the end of last year.
It's a tough learning curve.
It's a tough learning curve, and, you know, he has chosen one of the toughest tracks to come and learn at. So, now, Piers Prior is down in the pits, Paddock Park Ferme. Pray tell, Piers, what have you got for us?
Well, I've just been having a closer look at the live timing, and it's quite good. Of course, the motorsport.timing gives you all of the sector analysis. And over the weekend, from me watching at the last sector, it seems like the shorter drivers generally have a better time of it over the bumps in the final sector. But in the last sector, in the last few laps, not this one actually, Fred Green's basically been chipping away at our leader, Cian Gerrit, almost in the last sector alone. And he looks so controlled over the bumps every single lap. It seems like the bumps are working for him rather than against him. I think that extra experience he's had from the last few club rounds clearly working in his favour at this stage.
Very good insight there, Piers. And yes, Green is continuing to close in, but Gerrit is now responding. Is faster through sector number 1 on this particular lap. Harrison Mackie's been on the move. He's worked his way up the order to P11 now. Change of Mackie on the spanners this weekend. Lewis has stepped aside.
Is Nanny June on the spanners?
Well, no, it's Papa. It could be in the future, but it's Papa Mackie having a go this weekend.
I mean, if Nanny June was on the spanners, then, I mean, Mackie Harrison would be up in 5th already, easily, I'm sure, and I hope that Nanny June is okay. watching back home. And so Lewis Mackie stepping back permanently or just this weekend?
Watch this space.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a C word comeback? Possibly
He
on the
had a little
cards?
go at Genk last year.
He did have a little go at Genk last year. Well, we'll have to see what happens there. There's a move sideways. Gabriel Stilp. That harkens back to the Junior X30 days of 2022 and 2023, where Gabriel Stilp, if you pulled off some outstanding passing manoeuvres, and Harrison Whitacombe has now got his head down. How is it possible that Harrison still looks too tall for his go-kart? Now he's up to senior.
Well, you'll have to ask him about his new race suit. He's not wearing it at the moment. It's his new race suit.
Right.
There may have been a logistical error. He may have received Chester Fawkes' suit instead of his own, but
I would
apparently
love to see Harrison
Whitacombe
trying to get into Chester Fawkes' race suit. That would be pure comedy gold. This is the battle for third and fourth position. A minute ago, Jack Buckley is about a second behind these two in fifth position. Lewis Bird sixth, Sam Branston seventh, Micah Taylor is eighth, Oliver Rands and Alistair Cresswell, two former stars of TKM racing, Rands and Cresswell. Harvey Roth, also an ex-TKM driver, and he is 13th. Just behind, make that 12th because, as expected, there's Dharmadasa. Now, that's a perfect interview. Dharmadasa is now hanging on. He's tired. Yeah. As you look, that was a great, great close-up shot of the apex of Oblivion. And every driver except Dharmadasa had the strength left to turn and hit the apex. And Dharmadasa just didn't quite have... no. That's George Quartermain. And I hope he hasn't hit one of our cameras. Come on now, George. They're expensive. Cameramans, they're two a penny, but cameras, oof. But yeah, you can see, and he's gone wide there now as he comes into the boot, and he's just struggling to get the kart to the apex. Yep. That is purely, he thinks his head's going to fall off. Yeah. Because and his arms are tired. Yep. It's a very, very tough learning curve there. And down the inside, that was Sam Branston gets himself in a right old pickle.
That was a well-held line from Lewis Bird, just to I see what you did there. To see Branston come down the inside of it, take that deep line, and I'll get you on the cutback. Heads up driving from Lewis Bird. We've got a race on here for the lead. This has been a very good penultimate lap of the race from Fred Green. He took nearly a tenth and a half out of Cian Geraghty on that last lap. He's not going to be in range here into Christmas Corner, but he's at that kind of distance that if Cian Geraghty misses one braking zone, makes one mistake in the form that Fred Green is in, particularly around this Whilton Mill circuit, he's going to be in trouble. That's a well-negotiated run through Ashby Corner by Cian Geraghty, who himself has been racing round this circuit for many a year. Remember him racing in the old IAME Cadet class back in the day, and he's going to use that experience to pull it all together.
Significantly, though, Fred Green would still start the Super Heat from pole.
Will. So over the line, Geraghty wins Heat 2. Green's P2 means that he has 2 points at the end of today. Pips Geraghty by a single point. As you say, Henry will have pole position for the Super Heat tomorrow. Gabriel Still, we've been talking about the bumps. Full credit. I'm sure he's done a lot of training and a lot of rehab after the horrible incident that he had at PF International back in October. But fair credit to Gabriel Still. He is back.
Well, and I would say, so I spoke to Joe Turney a lot over the winter out in the US. And of course, Joe had a horrific ankle injury at the 2023 World Championships. And even though he was back racing at the start of 2024, the middle of 20, he said he he said it isn't 100% for about 12 months. Yeah, you can feel it, but then it goes to the rigors of a race, and there's an ache, there's a pain, there's a twinge, there's a weakness there that takes a long time to repair. As you're looking at the drivers that finished outside the top 10, I mean, Geraghty, Green, Stilt, Whitcomb, Buckley, Bird, Branston, Rands, Taylor and Mackie were the top 10. Harvey Roth and Morgan. Harvey Roth, 27th to 12th. That's not a bad effort for Harvey. He was a bit of a Whilton Mill specialist. Won, I think, 3 finals in junior TKM and TKM Extreme in the British Championship here at Whilton Mill. In fact, I think he only won 1 final anywhere else. I think he won that was at PFI. He didn't look too happy there. Now, let's have a look. Oh, he hasn't finished 12th anymore. And Theo Lestrange from Ireland, solid in 70th. Rian Dharmadasa, 15th this time. So P16 in Heat 1, P15 in Heat 2. But it's clear to all to see that, yeah, Rian is, and you can see him there, the white crash helmet. He's a lot shorter as well in stature than some of his class rivals. Well, that rounds out the senior X30 racing today. We'll see all our seniors tomorrow morning. We've got 3 races to go, Andrew.
Yeah.
But before we get to those 3 races, about time we hear from some of our championship partners.
Waterswift back once again for their second heat coming up in just a moment's time. A full grid. We saw their first heat earlier on. Very, very close racing. Always good to watch. I enjoy watching the Waterswift because they're effectively still cadets but with a bit more power, small karts. And we're going to walk down the grid and chat to some of the young personalities, the young drivers on the grid. And we're going to start with our driver, the XL Motorsport driver of Mason Brooks in P4. Mason, talk to us about your qualifying because you're right up at the front of the grid.
It was okay. I could have got like top 3, but I messed up the 5th lap, so I'm in P4, but it was good.
And then, of course, we've already had heat number 1. It's been very, very close between the top pretty much 10 drivers. Anyone's game really so far. Talk to us about what it's been like on circuit.
It's been like, there's a lot of breakaways where there's like a pack of like 3, 4, or 5 carts, and then there'll be a gap to the next person.
What's your tactic going into this race?
To just try and get a good start and then just take it from there.
Take it from there. Take it as it comes. Mason Brooks, the XL Motorsport team number, starting in 4th place. Number 84, we've got a lot of very, very close drivers. I think it was like pretty much a second covering almost 20 cut drivers after qualifying. A driver had a good race in that first one, was the number 42 of George Clark. George, you didn't qualify, I know, where you wanted to, just outside the top 10, but that last race you made up 7 places, the highest gainer in that one. It must have been good fun.
Yeah, it was quite good fun. The start we just got a bit unlucky because there was a bit of a too much further gap on the rolling lap, but yeah.
Well, George, the 1 minute board's just been 1 minute board's just gone up, so we've got 1 minute before the start of the race. I'll leave the drivers to have a final word, bit of encouragement from the mechanics. You can see a lot of high fives going around. Final words of advice. You can see the number 78 just to my right there. The number 78 is Joseph Davis. He's racing for the premium karting team. The mechanics are a very important part of the race weekend for the drivers. They not only give moral support, but also actually, of course, listen to the drivers and make the karts suit the drivers' needs in terms of lap time and the way it feels. But we've got the Waterswift race, heat number 2, coming up in just a moment's time.
Heat number 2. IAME Waterswift out next, race 8 here on O-Plate Saturday. Harry Williams is on pole position, joined by his Fusion Motorsport teammate, new teammate, Austin Newstead, for this one. Alfie Davidson and Mason Brooks go from row number 2. Davidson won Heat 1. Austin Gibson and Knight Measures go from row 3, and they're ahead of Zach Champney and Luca Narroway on row 4. George House and Marcus Kovetskis, they go from row number 5. Jensen Ackerman and Chester Falk start on row number 6. Colby Patterson and George Clark on row 7 ahead of Mason Hibbert and Johnston Stewart. Row 9, Andy Stewart, the older sister of Johnston, starting on that 9th row, is joined by Charlie Clough. Alessandro Salat and Oscar Kenny go from row 10. Joseph Davis and Henry King on row 11. Ilyas Sami and Sophie Campbell go from row number 12 ahead of Ryan Meta and Ethan Robertson on the penultimate row of the grid. Ruben Sagu completes the 27 runners, and we should also mention we had hoped for a 28th runner. Best wishes to Callum Graham, who unfortunately has had a bit of an off on his bike on the way home from school yesterday. So for anyone wondering where is the number 11 that was on the entry list, Callum has unfortunately had to withdraw from the event. Are we ready to go? Yes, green light, 10 minutes plus 1 lap for IAME Waterswift, and it's another good start for Harry Williams from pole position. Better start this time from Austin Newstead. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Fusions in the early stages of this race. Zach Champney having a bit of a moment there, recovering from going wide and on the curb. Luca Narroway down the inside there, having a go at Mason Brooks for 5th, Henry.
Now, as I was just having a little quick look around the paddock, fresh air and all that, Mason Hibbert is not out there. We saw Mason in the there's a spin. They're going so. Oh my words! Drivers, that's why these are the best of the best, because lightning quick reactions. But Mason was involved in that last lap incident with Margaret Kovetskis on the number 15 Kart at the end of heat number 1. Went to the medical room to see the medic. I saw him walk back past the paddock with his dad, Tom. Will, they're brothers, they're twins. One of the two, Tom. I'll remember. He was walking, but obviously he's not quite up to racing.
Not race fit.
Not race fit. Hopefully tomorrow Mason will be back.
So on the second lap of this one, Williams leads from Newstead. Davidson, Gibson, Narroway completing the top 5. George House has had a solid start. Is there in P6. In fact, that's more than a solid start. That's a gain of 3 positions for the winner of the first round of IAME Euro Series in the X30 Mini category 6 days ago. That was in wet conditions in Italy. Back to Blighty.
I know, you're gallivanting all over the place, Andrew. And while we're looking at a fusion cookery lesson at the front of this field,
yes.
Congratulations, because you've managed to persuade your partner to become your wife-to-be. So congratulations, Andrew, on that score. Commiserations, Molly, on that score. But no, congratulations, and even though I traverse the world, during the winter months, keeping it 100 as always, I do keep my ear to the ground.
You do,
and is it the hashtag Make Molly a Mather?
Make Molly a Mather.
Yes, trending worldwide.
We'll announce the race meeting dates in due course.
Excellent.
7.5 minutes of this one to go in IAME Waterswift, rather, and it really is a bit of a clinic by the Fusion drivers at the moment. Williams, Newstead, Davidson, Gibson doing exactly what they've been directed to by Dan Hazelwood and Go forth, but don't take each other out.
Yes.
And they've got nearly 1.5 seconds over the rest of the field now.
Now that evolved. I mean, just look at the way that the nose cone is set up on Luca Narroway's kart. There's a lot more ground clearance at the front of that kart. There's all sorts of different styles of bodywork, of nose cones, of NASA panels. Aerodynamics is here in karting in force, and so that could be quite literally by design. Not by choice, but there's a couple of interesting tech features on the difference of aerodynamics and the purpose of them, because they're not just there for aesthetics. The kart manufacturers, the bodywork manufacturers, they spend a pretty penny developing each part of the wagon. If it gains 1,000th 2012, how many kart races have we seen decided by
By thousandths
of a second? Now, there is a move. Night measures. They're getting passed by George Clark. George House now leads the chasing pack. So, he's just got past Luca Narraway, or is Luca Narraway is just back in front of George House. So, Narraway, House, and Champney, they are the second group. This is the third group of, what's that? It's Christmas. 8 lords are leaping over the curb and into oblivion. Zach Champney again, that privateer Birrell ART kart is pretty quick again in race trim as House passes Narraway for P5. Now, I saw earlier, now, I don't know who does the Fusion Motorsport media, but I just speaking to Kirsty Hockley at Fuel Your Media, one of a great number of media companies doing a fantastic job, in the paddock. If there was ever an opportunity to get a picture to put on Mr. Hazelwood's trophy cabinet wall, because he's now got it in. Well, Dan Hazelwood, he's had to buy another house just to put the trophies in.
Yeah,
it's true fact. I only speak facts, but that would be the 4 of them line abreast, heading up towards. Look at this! Art, and there's the third group of cars being led by another Fusion driver, the 42 of George Clark. Night measures, Jensen Ackerman rounding out the top 10.
And George Clark currently the biggest gainer in this race, up 6 spots, up to 8th place. This group also containing Night Measures, as you say. Night Measures having a better race of it than Heat number 1, which is good to see. Back with the Fusion Quartet. Is there a little bit of change in the ranks? Austin Newstead had a half look there at Harry Williams into the boot. Alfie Davidson still there as well, of course, in 3rd place. Austin Gibson in 4th. That was a quick sight of some of our IAME Waterswift restricted field. Watching on. New fastest lap of the race, though, from the driver in 5th place. George House is closing and bringing Luca Narraway and Zach Champney into play. The Fusion boys going to have something to think about here.
Yeah, just keep the champagne on ice temporarily. Now, another thing, has there been a very subtle redesign of the Fusion Motorsports graphics kit this year? I believe there has, and I have to say, because graphics kits is another one of my my bugbears, or my what I like is that I think this iteration of the Fusion graphics kit, it certainly is more aesthetically pleasing around the contours of the bodywork than maybe previous years.
Came in at LIWF at the back end of last year. The blue's a bit darker as well, I think.
Yeah, I know, it does. It's more complementary to the contours of the wagons.
3 minutes to go in this one. No changes at the front yet, but stick with this one because it's just coming to the boil now. 50.9, 51.0. All of these drivers in the front 4 are in around that measure. George House, 50.8. Doesn't sound like a lot, but there is enough time here for that chasing duo of House and Narraway to make this quite a squabble for the second heat of the afternoon. At the moment, as things stand, Harry Williams would be on pole position for the Super Heat tomorrow on 2 points. Davidson will be outside of row 1 with 3. Newstead and Gibson would form up row number 2 with 6 and 9 points respectively. So this 1, 2, 3, 4 in Heat 2 is delivering a similar kind of result in the intermediate classification overnight. But again, George House continues to close. Is another 50.8 on that last lap. And well, it's kind of inevitable at the moment. We talked about it earlier. George House does not know the meaning of the 2 words give and up unless the movement is up the order of the classification, and he's nearly caught up to the back of Austin Gibson. Now, I've got to give credit to Luca Narraway as well, who's worked hard over the last few laps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers through the final chicane. Still the best part of 90 seconds to go. Harry Williams starting to check over the shoulder.
Now, Williams, Davidson and Gibson, they are Well, now, Gibson raced for ORM last year, didn't he?
No, I think he won. I think he switched to Fusion last year.
Yeah, he switched to Fusion last year. So, Newstead is the only Fusion newcomer. He raced for BMR Restart last year.
Harry Williams was in Ollie Rowland last year.
And Harry Williams. So, again, you've got a mixture of... Because, again, you know, training these youngsters to work together as teammates takes time and is an art within itself. So... you've got a mixture of experienced Fusion drivers, Alfie Davidson, who was, you know, there for Fusion last year. So it's just now, okay, this is, you know, we want you to work together as a team. This is how you work together as a team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've got to say, George House, that experience he's got winning overseas, that's paid dividends. He's been able to make a move. Now, Narroway also makes the move on Gibson. That's allowed Zach Champney to close back in. And we are... we've still got 7 at the front, sorry. So it's now 7 at the front. I thought that George House, I think he needed to make a few more moves early. Now he's sort of tracked at the same speed as Alfie Davidson. The momentum that he had gained by closing in, he's now lost. And indeed, Narroway now goes past. No. House retakes position going through the boots, out of paddock. Last lap board goes out. 3 Fusion drivers at the front. Will they stay there?
Big question mark over this race at the moment. Williams has done a good job defending up to Christmas corner the last few laps and has done so again. Alfie Davidson not able to get round the outside. That's going to bring George House, Luca Narroway and Austin Gibson all back into play. House needs to be careful, has received a warning flag from the officials. He's trying to go around the outside through Ashby. Good attempt there from George House, and he's going to get one position out of that. Alfie Davidson, who's been solid through this race, now could be outside of the top 5, side by side between Narroway and House, and Narroway has forced his way through there into the top 3. Ozzie Gibson's going to have a go now for 3rd place. Harry Williams is going to come through the final couple of corners and book himself on the move to pole position in the Super Heat tomorrow. It's another Fusion 1-2 with Austin Newstead this time P2, and with those changes on the last lap, Alfie Davidson down to P8. Newstead is on the front row for the Super Heat tomorrow. Luca Narroway's P3 will leave him nicely positioned in the intermediate classification overnight. Austin Gibson P4, Zach Champney P5 in that one. Clark, House, Davidson, Patterson and Measures is your top 10. And a quick rundown of that provisional IC. Williams on 2 points, 4 clear of Newstead. That'll be your front row for the Super Heat tomorrow, pending of course any post-race changes. Davidson and Champney on row 2, 8 points apiece. Remember, the tiebreaker then goes back to how drivers performed in TQ earlier on today. Gibson and Clark on row 3, Narroway and House on row 4.
I have to say, Luca Narroway, very
really
aggressive.
Yeah.
He's had his Weetabix this morning because last year the pace was getting better, but he was almost still too timid.
Yeah.
You know, now
in those last 2 laps.
Yeah, and I can't, you know, so yeah, well done. I mean, I'm sure his dad Lee will be happy and mum as well. But Luca, that's a very, very impressive drive because in those last couple of laps, he actually outraced George House, who is again on paper has got
he's on very good form
and has got a bigger CV.
Yep.
If you like, on paper, used to racing around the place, but yet when it came to the crunch at the end, and I did see Luca dive in going into Ozier's and squeeze George out. Not too much, but just a little bit there. That's the aggression coming in. Okay, there's Chester Forks. Can't say it. Can't say danger. Can't say it. What I can say, though, is that we have got time. Just a couple of commercials before we're back to Piers Prior, pre-race pit paddock preamble in a minute.
Back on the dummy grid once again, and in the last 10 minutes during that Waterswift inter-race, the temperature's definitely dropped a little bit. The wind has picked up, a bit of a tailwind going up towards Christmas now, so potentially changing the way that the karts are getting their lap time around these circuits, and also maybe reducing slightly the tow up to Christmas corner. We've got Waterswift restricted now, of course, looking very similar, but of course slightly restricted karts for the younger drivers. And once again on pole position we have Albie J Stubbs. We grabbed away with Albie ahead of the first heat this morning, alongside him Harry Chapman starting on the outside of the front row. Harry in their all yellow colours. I just saw a few moments ago they were looking at each other, giving each other the thumbs up, so clearly either they're just mates or they've got some sort of plan in action. Fourth place we have starting is Dimitar Uzanov, who is our winner from heat number 1. And I'm going to grab a quick word with Dimitar, because you had a very good race in heat number 1. You know, talk to us about how you managed to get in the lead of that one.
Well, I just tried to get in the lead, like I was pushing, then when I thought I could do it, I just went inside, made the move, and then carried on doing it.
It's important to make the move at the right point in the race as well, not just make it whenever, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think you pulled that off. Can you do the same again in this one?
I'll try my best.
You always do. Dimitar Uzanov starting in 4th place in that Birol Art red kart. Moving further down the field on the inside of the second row, and position number 3 is Ralph Martin in the number 42 of the Strawberry Racing Car. But also in the Waterswift Restricted category, of course it's the start of most of these drivers' racing careers. So we have some rookies, and the rookies, or the novices, are denoted by the black numbers. The number 11 at the back of the field there, that is Riley Aston Wilkins in one of his first 6 races, and that is what you are, a rookie, or sorry, a novice for your first 6 races, denoted by your black numbers. And also we've got another rookie who isn't actually on the back of the grid, the number 36, that's Patrick Wood. So he's actually pretty much halfway up the field, starting in 11th place. A great qualifying from him, using his limited, clearly has got some serious skill, using very limited experience to get in amongst the drivers who have got a bit more experience than him. So keep an eye out for him, as well as also the number 92 of Freddie Baker, also starting in 9th place. With the air temperature reducing, the track temperature might also be reducing as well, so potentially that might impact the way the tyres come in for these drivers. Of course, they're running very small tyres compared to, or narrower tyres compared to the juniors and senior karts. You can see them there with the white bands on. The tyre pressures are very important for the overall result in the race. The drivers will be setting, or the mechanics more likely, setting them higher if they want the kart to come on earlier in the race, and lower if they want the kart to come on later in the race. Of course, it's very tactical. Some of the drivers will choose to be faster at the end of the race so that they can come on strong and make those crucial moves towards the end. Some other drivers preferring to get up to speed quickly, make the moves at the start, and then consolidate for the end of the race. But we're looking forward to the second heat of Waterswift Restricted, and their final heat today. Only one more race after this, and that will be Honda GX200. But Waterswift Restricted is coming up next.
Thank you very much, Piers. Getting ready for Heat 2 of IAME Waterswift Restricted. This record grid for IAME Waterswift Restricted, of course, the Interclub licence, which is valid as well for the full Wera Tools British Kart Championship, so do get your registrations in. Let's have a look at the grid for Heat number 2 in IAME Waterswift Restricted. We'll have a look at that in a few moments' time.
While we're waiting for that grid,
yeah,
just think, because of course there is a new Motorsport UK Girls on Track initiative.
Yes.
And again, for girls aged between 8 and 12, so for a driver such as Darcy Durnford, now of course Darcy's already racing, but if there are any girls out there between the age of 8 and 12, they've teamed up with Team Sport Karting, the UK's biggest network of indoor kart tracks. And Team Sport are offering free taster days at certain tracks around the country. And Andrew Mather, I think you have the list.
Starting in April, so if this is a town or city near you, get yourself down there. Bristol, Crawley, Cambuslang, Coventry, Mitcham, Leeds, Nottingham, Southampton, Manchester, Trafford, and Newcastle, all more to follow in May and October. We'll talk more about the Girls Karting Academy in due course. Here's your grid for IAME Waterswift Restricted, their second heat of the day. Albie J Stubbs starts on pole position. Harry Chapman, hopefully we will see on the front row of the grid as well. Because remember, we had technical problems for number 32 before the start of heat number 1. Ralph Martin and Dimitar Uzanov go from row number 2. Reggie Chandler and Brody Batch go from row number 3. Louis Williams-Mabs in the beautifully prepared DAP livery is on row 4. And now he's joined. Now it's just clicked through on the transponder by Ollie West.
Freddie Baker and Ireland's Corey Lyons round out the top 10 with Patrick Wood and Finley Bedford next up.
Leo Russell and Theo Tyack go from row number 7. Phoenix Millen Sexton and Harry Murphy go from row number 8.
The rest of the field, Felix Booker, Frank Morris, Darcy Durnford and Riley Aston Wilkins. 20 drivers, 10 minutes will go around again, which will perfectly give us now 2 things, because there are cameras all around the circuit that Alpha Live use, but when there are issues and incidents, there is the steward camera room. Now you can see race secretary there, Louise Brown, and one of the many Manchesters that are here, and of course they've got a whole separate set of cameras. So they're using penalties to adjudicate stuff. They're looking at a completely other bank of cameras as well. And that was something they would have said, no, out of formation, too fast, that type of thing.
And a big welcome, of course, into the full-time team for Louise.
Yes.
And I'm also going to say hello to Danielle Short.
Hello.
She has been texting. I've talked to Claudia earlier in the week. Said, "Is it weird being here without you, Mum?" It's like, no, because she keeps texting me every 10 minutes.
Claudia, Danielle's daughter is here, but Louise Brown is now taken over Danielle's job as the championship coordinator, which basically means she's the boss.
She runs everything.
She runs everything.
And brilliantly so as well.
You know, that's it.
Into the tram lines. Are we good to go? Yes. Green light, 10-minute plus 1 lap heat. Number 2 is underway, and it's a solid start from LBJ Stubbs. Harry Chapman is there at the front of the order. We saw great race pace in that number 32 in heat number 1. Now is an opportunity to put right what went wrong in that first one for the former British Bambino champion. Good start as well for number 88 of Brody Batch. That's a kart being operated by Jamie Green Racing, but in the colours of Argenti Motorsport here this weekend. Bit of a side-by-side battle there between the number 24 of Ollie West and the 14 of Corey Lyons.
Now, leading the way, there's Frank Morris at the back of the field. That's a very smart delivery. That number 55 kart, that's got a really good graphics kit on it as well. Now, as LBJ Stubbs comes across the line to lead lap number 1, I think it's his younger brother with a huge shock of curly hair looking over the barrier. He's so small, he's got to stand on the bottom part of the wooden barrier just to see over the top, but he's cheering on his older brother, Albie, who's leading the way. Now, this is the first chance we've got to see what kind of pace has Harry Chapman got in that number 32 car. We know he can come through the field. Now he's starting in his rightful grid position. There's the... it's Leo Russell. I will not make that mistake. Leo Russell losing a position there. But Harry Chapman already trying to take the lead. Has he got it? Not quite.
Apologies for the issues on the timing tower at the moment. I can assure you that it is Stubbs in the lead of this one from Chapman, then the number 62 of Dimitar Uzanov in 3rd place. Ralph Martin not too far back in P4, trying to hold off Brody Batch there at the moment in the number 88. Should note as well that Leo Russell has just lost 3 of the 4 positions that he gained in the early stages of this race, but he was the biggest mover in the early stages of this one. Here's a battle between the number 92 of Freddie Baker, brand new shiny chrome and fluorescent yellow lid to match the decals on his number 92, and Louis Williams-Mabs there as well. Great to have Louis back in the Wera Tools British Kart Championships paddock. We've not seen Louis and his dad for a while, but they're here and having a good weekend. They were second here last week. Here's a battle for the race lead. Chapman trying to get down the inside and does so. Nice move from Harry Chapman, new race leader.
And a good, clean, respectful racing from all 3 of those youngsters there. Chapman did get to the inside. Stubbs could have forced the issue and just squeezed Harry then over the curb, but that would have caused a problem. But no, they gave each other enough racing room to get through unscathed. Didn't lose too much ground with each other. They still got a cushion over fourth place battle on back, but that's what you want to see. Now, saying that, this is a heat race. I'm sure that, you know, Albie wouldn't have been quite so generous was this the final. But, again, this is the point. It's a one-off race. You build, you build, you build. Yes, the main events can sometimes be chaotic. I think we saw it in the Rotax O plates. The racing went from the sublime to the teetering on the edge and occasionally, you know, tripping over the edge. But, you know, this is a heat race. The drivers understand. Look, Harry Chapman will know that he can't do that. Oh, and there is the Corey Lyons in that Daily Motorsport livery, number 14. But yeah, Harry Chapman will know that, look, I'm not going to get the same amount of space tomorrow. And neither would he expect it. He wouldn't give it to RBJ Stubbs. It's amazing how quickly these youngsters learn. And these are the 8, 9 and 10-year-olds.
Intermediate classification update. As things stand, Uzanov would be on pole position for the Superheat tomorrow. 2 points. It's currently a tie of 5 points apiece for Stubbs and Chapman. But again, tiebreakers decided by how drivers performed in time qualifying earlier on this morning. And just before the lunch breakers were tipped into the afternoon. So at the moment, Stubbs would be P2 on the grid, Chapman P3. But then again, this is one of those circuits where sometimes if you offer a driver inside of row number 2 or outside of row number 1, not all the time, but I'd say probably in dry conditions at least 65% of the time, they'd probably go for the inside of row number 2, Henry.
Yeah, and most circuits, a third place start is preferential to a second place start. At Whilton Mill, because, you know, Oblivion is that, it's very quick, it's that left and a right,
corner,
you know, so if you can just about hang on to the outside of the pole sitter. Let's have a look at, that's Corey Lyons. Oh, well, he saved it, and then he didn't save it. But he is from a rallying background, so that was the handbrake being applied. He just couldn't quite get the, you know, the full rotation. Dimitar Uzanov, fastest lap again. When it rains, Uzanov lights up. Oh, there's Corey Lyons' kart out of the race. And there is Bodie Batch trying to muscle his way past Ralph Martin with Reggie Chandler in P5. And again, who's in a race supporting Reggie Chandler on our live chat. And, well, talk about impressive. Freddie Baker in the novice, the black plate, number 92, is not only in 7th, he is right behind the 4th, 5th and 6th place carts. There is Leo Russell, and behind Leo Russell is Piers Millen Sexton. Phoenix. Oh, gosh.
You did it.
Piers Sexton, not Piers Sexton. He's Piers Sexton Racing, it's Phoenix Sexton. Sorry, Piers.
3.5 minutes of this one to go. Uzanov is having a look at the back of the number 32 of Harry Chapman here, trying to get Chapman off the proper racing line down into Ashby over that little bump. Very tricky on entry into Ashby, but Chapman's carried good speed. And it's interesting to see how the drivers' different driving styles are generating the lap time here. Uzanov trying to wrestle a door open to get through past Chapman. He's got to be careful because LBJ Stubbs is still there in 3rd place in the XL Motorsport number 96, just waiting for the opportunity to retake the race lead. Uzanov seemingly quite happy to have the kart dance around a lot, the back end sliding here and there, but he's still able to control things and, more importantly, carry the speed.
And he's got a great run out of Oblivion up towards Christmas Corner now. But interestingly, so Chapman started at the back of heat number 1 and raced his way up into what I think was 5th position.
Yeah.
Now you'd think, oh my goodness me, Chapman's much quicker than everybody else. Well, you're looking now, no he's not. Because even though he leads, he's under immense pressure. That tells me that Harry Chapman raced his way through the pack. He hasn't got a kart that's a lot quicker than everybody else. He was able to outsmart the rest of the field to move up from last to 5th, but he is no quicker than the leaders in ultimate lap time, because Dimitar Uzanov has the fastest lap of the race and is looking good. Uzanov's kart is planted through that corner, through Fine Lady, up the hill. Does he look to the inside? Good move, squeezes. Here comes Stubbs, and respect between Chapman and Stubbs earlier on, it was repaid in kind.
Was indeed. So new race leader Dimitar Uzanov to the front of the order in the number 62. Kart through Oziers now. LBJ Stubbs half thinks about a move into Oziers, thinks better of it on this occasion. Once again, it's these three. Now Stubbs is going to go for it on the entry to the boot. Good space left there by Uzanov. Chapman's going to have a run down the inside, retakes second place. Smart racing there from Harry Chapman. 1 minute to go. We will have 3 more laps. It'll be the same as Heat 1. They'll come across the line next time around with about 6 or 7 seconds to go on the clock. Chapman's got a good run up the hill. Uzanov checks over one shoulder. Chapman dashes the other way. And Uzanov's top-end speed helps him there to not have to think too much about defending on the exit from Christmas, but he's going to have to think about it now. Chapman down the inside takes the race lead.
Yeah, Uzanov, just because he sat in the middle of the track going up the hill towards Christmas Corner, he was always going to be under pressure going down into Ashby's, but coming through Wilkins, he's able to retake the lead. And you can see him just crouch down, eyes focused there, that Kevlar style black crash helmet. Now he looks apex, and it's fascinating, that corner, even though the car is flying through the air, the driver's not looking forward, the driver's looking sideways, knowing that's where the minute I touch down, turn. Fantastic. Noah McNichols, Liam Note at Forest Edge Kart Club. Good luck.
Time is up then. Stubbs is going to have a look down the inside. Oh, that gets a little bit too close through Ashby. They're going to be 3 wide off of Ashby. And Uzanov holds on to the race lead. Stubbs P2, Chapman P3. Something tells me this one isn't done yet. We've still got the +1 lap to go. Warning for the number 36 of Patrick Wood. LBJ Stubbs has another look on the entry to the boot, and we have seen over the past 12 months a lot more moves being attempted earlier in the race on the entry into the boot, because they know there's less opportunity now to get it done through the last corner or onto the final lap. It's not done yet. This is where Uzanov's been strong, but is now given the slipstream to LBJ Stubbs. Not able to get it done though as Stubbs. Not able to draw alongside the number 62. Chapman still there in 3rd.
And these 3 have managed to drive away from everybody else by over 7 seconds as they've continued to battle. Now into Wilkins. Again, Uzanov defends the middle of the track. He's now going to have to defend. Chapman has a little nibble at the inside of Stubbs through Oziers. Now we've just got the boots, the chicane and paddock to go. And Uzanov, as long as... and now Chapman and Stubbs are going to go for it again. That gives the win to Dimitar Uzanov. It's a clean sweep for Dimitar Uzanov and Jason Dredge's team, JPD UK. Well done. Now, how many... there's the rest of the leaders going through, and it was Ralph Martin, nearly 8 seconds back. Right, now, if you look at there, that's JPD UK CK. That isn't like, at the end of Only Connect, where they give you, right, I'm going to name you like a film, but all the vowels are taken out. That is not one of those. It's JPD, Jason, Penelope Dredge, UK, and the CKR is a competitive kart racing chassis. It's a CRG, but they thought, let's rebrand it. It's part of the CRG family, so it's a CRG but painted differently, like
like an OTK
Norris.
to an LN.
Yeah, exactly. And the wonderful brains at CRG went, right, we've got this really famous car brand, CRG, we're going to have a different, we're going to, part of the family, how can we rebrand it something really snappy, catchy, that screams speed? I know, we'll just take one letter out and put another letter in. I'm not a fan of competitive kart racing as a brand. I think you could call it an Eagle. you could call it, you know, a marlin, a blue marlin, a spirit, something like that. There's all sorts of names that are probably a lot easier to sell to Joe Public. Anyway, it's quick, as proven. Sorry, rant over.
Good stuff from the record grid of IAME Waterswift Restricted. Remember, if you're on an interclub license, you are eligible for all of the rounds of the Wera Tools British Kart Championships going forward in 2025. More from IAME Waterswift tomorrow when we have their Super Heat in the morning. For now, though, we'll take a short ad break. Honda Cadet are up next.
Brilliant racing we had in Waterswift Restricted there, but we can't dwell on that too long because Honda Cadet GX200 is up now, and it's going to be very, very close as it was in the first one. The last race of the day has come around pretty quickly, hasn't it? Of course, plenty more racing to come tomorrow, but let's have a look at this grid. So on pole position, we have Ronnie Jones once again, and the number 70. Second place on the outside of the front row is Shailan Srikantan. Shailan Srikantan. I've had to practice that one. There's a lot of syllables in there for me to get my tongue around. And also on the inside of the second row, we have Ellis Bork. And I'm going to grab a quick word with Ellis because he is ready and raring to go. Ellis, what are you thinking about ahead of this race? What's your plan?
Well, I'm just going to try get into the lead, try get away. I'll just see how the race goes. Maybe push away with the person in the lead and yeah, see how it goes.
Absolutely. It was a good first race in that first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. I'm really happy with it. Done a few rings through Kart to get it better, but yeah, overall it's a good race.
Well, Ellis, good luck. Elliot, sorry, not Ellis, Elliot. I'm hoping that you at home could hear what Elliot had to say because with the purr of the Honda GX200 engine, I had no idea what he said, but good to him to catch up. Great that he was game for that. Of course, these drivers, very, very young, starting their racing career just from the age of eight upwards. So, yeah, you know, they're learning their racecraft, they're learning how to chat to the media. I did ask earlier on if Ronnie Jones on pole position wanted to have a chat. He politely declined, so maybe we'll get a word with him tomorrow if he's doing well, and I'll definitely hold him to that if he gets that eventual O plate, which is what they're all looking for this weekend. But the Honda GX200 second heat, final race of the day, is coming up in just a few moments' time.
Thank you very much, Piers. Yeah, last race of the day on O plate Saturday for the IAME and Honda Cadet categories. Bit of time to tell you about the Girls Karting Academy. We touched on it just before the IAME Waterswift Restricted previous heats. If you've not heard the news yet, over the Easter holidays, we're going to be seeing Team Sport holding a number of sessions up and down the country, giving girls the ages of 8 to 12 the chance to learn, develop and progress in motorsport through its renowned academy programme. So if you want details, head across to the Team Sport website to find the news article and get yourself booked in. A reminder of those sessions in April over those Easter holidays: Bristol, Crawley, Cambuslang, Coventry, Mitcham, Leeds, Nottingham, Southampton, Manchester, Trafford Team Sports Centre and Newcastle. More will follow in May and October. Ahead of the first sessions, Charlotte Tilbury will be providing free funded karting sessions at those venues on the 15th of April, as well as launching the Charlotte Tilbury Scholarship. Then more steps going into the BIKC, the opportunity to win a funded spot in Club 100 in 2026. More information on that is available on the Team Sports and Motorsport UK website, though. We've got to get ready. Heat 2 Honda Cadet is next. Let's take you through the grid then for Honda Cadet GX200, the second heat for this category, the last race of the day. Ronnie Jones starts on pole position and is joined by Shaylin Srikantan on the front row of the grid. Elliot Bourke and Luke McGall will go from row number 2. On row number 3, it's the returning Harry Grant alongside Jane Prakash. Luca Bicocchi and Archie Cannon are on an all-Scottish row 4.
The first of the Jeff Duffy brothers, Jerry Duffy leads Harry Search, and then Oliver Ratton and Reggie Duffy on row number 6 with Kyle Kerr and Aidan Donnelly, the two drivers who failed to finish heat number 1. They are both back out, wagons repaired, and drivers ready to go.
A reminder of the race result. If you don't want to hear that like that bit on the 10 o'clock news, if you don't want to hear the result of race number 1,
now.
Look away and close your ears now. But Heat 1 looks like this. Ronnie Jones won it by 1.77 seconds from Elliot Bourke. Srikantan, Cannon, McGall and Search in the top 6. Jane Prakash, despite having a bumper penalty on row number 7. There's a side nobody wants to see in the comms box. P8 was Luca Bicocchi, Harry Grant and Jerry Duffy, the top 10. That's definitely not art.
There we go. Like a bug.
Getting ready then, last race of the day. Lights will come on. 1, 2, 3, 4 lights. The standing start for Honda Cadet GX200 is go. 10 minutes plus 1 lap for the final time here today. A good start for Ronnie Jones from pole position. A good start as well from Srikantan there in the green helmet. They're heading up to Christmas for the first time. It's a good start here in Honda Cadet.
Yeah, that purple and yellow cart, that's Harry Search. I was having a look at that earlier. That's a very smart livery on that cart as well. Now, the best thing, if you're a privateer driver and you've got the freedom to dress your go-kart in whatever colour, make it stand out. Make it appealing to the eye, because if you're trying to, you know, attract a sponsor, you want, that's Kyle Kerr. Again, stands out, but stands out for going the wrong way. Kyle Kerr going backwards there, and
it didn't lose too much time.
Yeah, but if you're gonna, make your kart stand out.
9 minutes to go in this one. Still plenty of time for things to change, but Ronnie Jones looking good at the front of the order at the moment. Very simple mathematical scenario for Ronnie Jones. If he wins this race, he'll be on pole position for the Super Heat tomorrow. But look at the attack coming in from Elliot Bourke there, looking to repeat the results, or at least repeat the results of second place from earlier on today. Missed any of the racing, any of the action from this O-Plate Saturday, you can watch it back at your leisure on the Karting UK YouTube channel and the Alpha Live YouTube channel. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow morning for all of the Super Heats starting from 10:20 local time here at Whilton Mill.
But before we get to tomorrow, there's a small matter of the paddock show. Now, in a few moments, I shall bid you farewell, Andrew, for the remainder of this Honda Cadet race, because we will be starting the paddock show directly at the end, hot off the press, directly. And there's a move. That's Archie Cannon going past Luke McGall. Now, the paddock show will be going out. Well, we'll start recording it live now, but you will be able to see the full paddock show at 8 p.m. tonight on the Karting UK YouTube channel. That is the official network premiere of the paddock show. 8 p.m. on the Karting UK YouTube channel. We'll be waiting at the end of the paddock at the Parc Fermé area to see the smiling faces or otherwise of these drivers as they come out. So, with 7 minutes to go, I will leave you in the capable hands of Andrew, Frederick, Dennis, Penelope Mather, and I'll see you at the paddock show a little bit later on.
Trying to work out whether those syllables, those. Anyway, let's move on from that. 6 minutes and 50 seconds of this one to go. Ronnie Jones is still your race leader, but definitely coming under increased pressure now from Elliot Bourke and Shaylin Srikantan. +5 second in-race time penalty to Luke McGall. Now, where will that drop Luke down to? At the moment, 5th place on the road. Yeah, this is where the race becomes a bit of a time trial now, because right now McGall would fall from 5th place down into that Reggie Dufficy region in around 12th place. Also plus 5-second penalty for Jayan Prakash. A flurry of plus 5-second penalties coming in. We're not done there. I think Archie Cannon's got one as well. Yes, Archie Cannon has. So the S plate, the 15 and the 44 all have plus 5-second penalties to be applied at the end of this race. 6 minutes of it to go. There's a quick sight of Harry Search. Beautifully prepared purple and yellow machine. Harry Grant there in the orange suit and the orange helmet, looking to improve the result he had last year in the Honda Cadet O plate. Result of P10, and is looking good to do so. He's trying to halve his final position in this O plate from 2024 to this year, aiming for that top 5. 5.5 minutes to go of this one, and what we're not seeing this time around is the breakaway from Ronnie Jones. It was, at least on historical balance, an exception to the rule. It is still very difficult here at Whilton Mill in particular. It's not the biggest circuit for having a slipstream, but there are those points of the circuit where trying to break away as a sole leader is very, very difficult indeed, particularly through this middle part of the course. You've got those big braking zones at Ashby. It's a tricky one into Ozies as well. But despite that, Ronnie Jones doing a very good job indeed, soaking up the pressure. A bit further back in the field, this is a battle between the Ambition Motorsport drivers. This is for 7th place between Jayan Prakash and Luca Bicocchi. Prakash, a big step forward this weekend. We saw some good progress through the course of the 2024 season, particularly when we had the season finale at Three Sisters back in the autumn, but this is more than one step. I'd say it's 2 or 3 steps forward for Jayan Prakash in terms of the speed and the race pace that we're seeing as well. Same for Luca Bicocchi. Had a wildcard appearance at Lark Hall, for the Lark Hall round of the Rear Tools British Kart Championships in the 2024 season. Good to see that number 77 up in the top 10. Here's your battle for 4th place on the road between 2 drivers who both have plus 5-second penalties. So this one on track is still very much for intermediate classification points, because both of them will get the same time demotion at the end of this race. Warning flag is out for the number 12 of Jerry Dufficy at the end of lap number 7. Right now, would not be a surprise to see Cannon and McGall here 4th and 5th on the road. Just try and work together, try and close down Srikantan there in 3rd place, but also edge that gap back to Harry Grant away. They're in almost like team time trial mode at the moment. 5 seconds would put them down into just ahead of Oliver Ratton, so they would be in the top 10 even with those penalties applied. Apologies in the box, not 100% sure on what those penalties are for. As soon as we get the news and confirmation of what they are for, we will let you know. But further back, Harry Search has got through past Luca Bicocchi for 8th place, and at the moment would very much take 7th place away from Jayan Prakash once the plus 5-second penalty for the number 44 has been applied. That's the other kart that we're looking at in that regard and doing the maths at the end of this one. Harry Grant trying to hold on to 6th place. Prakash having a little look down the inside into Ashby. Thinks better of it, and wisely so. Search now on the outside as they run through these 2 left-handers. Tricky part of the centre of the circuit, through Wilkins, through Ozies, now onto the back stretch into the boot. Good chunk of curb taken by Harry Grant there, and he's just been able to break away now from Jayan Prakash in 7th place. Oh, a bit of a mistake there, unfortunately, from Prakash. That may be an opportunity for Harry Search to go through, but a good recovery from Jayan. and is able to hold on to 7th place. 1 minute 35 to go on the clock then. Final race of the day. And the race results from this one, combined with the first heat earlier on today, remember, sets the grid for the Super Heat tomorrow. Right now it would be Ronnie Jones on pole position, Elliot Bourke alongside on the front row, and Shailen Srikantan at 3rd on the grid. So this battle here on your screens right now, heading into the boot if you're around the circuit, Bourke and Srikantan, this is not just for 2nd place in this race, this is also for 2nd place in the intermediate classification. Now yes, it's still the question of, would you rather be on the outside of row 1 or the inside of row number 2 here at Whilton Mill? At least with the Honda Cadets having a standing start, the advantage for the inside line isn't as great as with the other categories. Srikantan's going to go down the inside though. Bourke trying to fight round the outside, but in the end that's a textbook move by Srikantan through into 2nd place. And with 30 seconds on the clock, is there enough time to pull the leader back, who once again, Ronnie Jones, has got up to 1.5 seconds of an advantage now. This is a very impressive performance from Ronnie Jones. The MJR team will be extra pleased now that they're running 1-2 on the road. Battle for 4th place still raging on. McCall and Cannon. They haven't been able at the moment to get any more net positions once their +5 second penalties have been applied. So the likes of Harry Grant, Harry Search, Luca Picocchi doing a really good job to keep themselves within 5 seconds on the road of Cannon, McCall and Prakash. The time has now expired. We're not quite on the final lap yet. Elliot Bourke holding there in 3rd place. And as long as Ronnie Jones can bring this round the last lap and a half, it is going to be a clean sweep, you'd think, for Ronnie Jones today. There's been a change to 13th place as well. We should note Carl Kerr in the number 11 has got through past the number 27 of Aidan Donnelly. So a good response there from Carl Kerr after the spin in the early stages of this race. Final lap board is out. Battle for 2nd place very much on. Elliot Bourke's got a really good run, a tight line through Oblivion, and has already got through into 2nd place by the time Bourke and Srikantan get up to Christmas corner. A little bit deep off the little kink after Christmas though. Bourke's recovered it. Ronnie Jones continues to extend this gap. It's now 2.5 seconds for Ronnie Jones. But some brave work there from Elliot Bourke. Good control of his line through Oblivion is the key move at the moment for this 2nd place battle in Heat 2 and the intermediate classification. But it's a perfect day for Ronnie Jones. Pole position in time qualifying, 2 from 2 in the heats. Ronnie Jones will be on pole position for the Super Heat in the 2025 edition of the Honda Cadet O-Plate, and 2.9 seconds the advantage in the end over Elliot Bourke, who will join Jones on the front row of the grid tomorrow morning. As a reminder, 11:40 is when the Honda Cadet Super Heat is due to go off. Shailen Srikantan will be on the inside of row number 2 with 3rd place in both of the heats here today. Archie Cannon P4 on the road, Luke McCall P5, but as a reminder, the S and the 15 plated carts both have 5 second penalties, which will drop them as things stand down below Luca Picocchi. Rest of the running order, Harry Grant will be up to P4 once those penalties have been applied. Harry Search will join his namesake in the top 5. James Prakash, a really positive day. P8 on the road in that one, does also have a +5 second penalty, but won't lose too many positions as a result of that due to the race pace that we've seen from JN here today. Luca Picocchi, good performance there in the top 10, is joined by his Ambition Motorsport teammate Jerry Duffersey, the first of the Irish drivers home in that one. Oliver Ratton finished P11 ahead of Reggie Duffersey P12, Carl Kerr and Aidan Donnelly complete the order of 14 runners there in Honda Cadet. But a perfect day, as we say, for Ronnie Jones. Pole position earlier on today from the time qualifying from those 3 fastest laps, the average of those 3 fastest laps, and he has not put a foot wrong despite some strong pressure in the early stages of those races from the likes of Bork and Srikantan. The order for tomorrow, that of course completes things on track here at Whilton Mill for O-Plate Saturday. We will be back with racing action at 10:20 tomorrow morning local time. So if you're watching around the world, do the maths. If you're 1 hour ahead, 1 hour behind, or anything more than that, 10:20 UK time is when we'll see Junior X30 come out for their 12-minute plus 1 lap Super Heat. Senior X30 will be at 10:40. IAME Waterswift will be at 11 o'clock. IAME Waterswift Restricted will be at 11:20. Honda Cadet GX200 will be at 11:40. We'll then have the lunch break, 12 o'clock through to 12:40. You'll be able to watch the Paddock Show, which of course is also going live at 8 p.m. tonight if you want that early preview of it. We will then have the finals, the O-Plate races for 2025 across the IAME, X30 and Waterswift categories, and Honda Cadet, 15 minutes plus 1 lap for all of the finals tomorrow here at Whilton Mill. 12:40 for Junior X30, 13:10 for Senior X30, 13:40 for IAME Waterswift, 14:10 for IAME Waterswift Restricted, and 14:40 on a 24-hour clock for Honda Cadet GX200. All the information is available across on the British Kart Championships website with support from Motorsport-Timing as well. It's been a good day here at Whilton Mill. We very much hope you can join us for tomorrow. And thank you for all the engagement, thank you for all the comments and support for our drivers. If you're at the circuit, do stick around. We have got the Paddock Show starting very, very soon. In fact, not very, very soon. The Paddock Show is starting right now. We'll see you tomorrow.
Andrew, thank you so much for taking us through today, along with the person next to me, Henry Beaudette. Henry,
hello.
A good day, first day of the IAME O-Plate today.
It has been a good day. The O-Plate has traditionally become the curtain raiser to the British Championship season, and I think it's a great way to kick off, the British season in general. We've got a really good field of karts here in 5 classes. We see some excellent racing today. The circuit here at Whilton Mill International looks brilliant, but also the driving has been very, very good, very close, very competitive as well. I think we're going to have to rechristen this the Piers Prior Pit and Paddock Show, just because it starts a piece. I like that. But it's interesting. Normally we record this, about half an hour to an hour after racing is finished, but racing has just finished. You can see behind us the Honda Cadet drivers just had their second heat. They're in the Paddock and Parc Ferme area. And, there's some happy faces and some not so happy faces.
As always.
As always.
That's the way racing goes.
Now, one thing. We have viewers, you have spoken, and we have listened. Because on the live chat today, there was one driver who was, the audience were demanding an interview with him. We have done that. CJ Bennett, he is here. CJ, come in.
Come on the middle.
Your fan club has been insisting that we interview you. So, for the CJ Bennett fan club, we're going to interview him now. And you can watch the Paddock Show live at 8 p.m. on the Karting UK YouTube channel. We're recording it now. It goes out on the Karting UK YouTube channel at 8 p.m. tonight. Tune in for the CJ Bennett interview, which you all want to hear.